Men's Primary Care will help you regain control of your life and weight. Through a combination of coaching, diet, and medication, Total Men's Primary Care helps you lose the most weight while ensuring you stay healthy and help your body develop long-term results. Total Men's Primary Care designs a plan built for the biology of your body. It's that simple. Schedule a no-risk, no-commitment consultation with Total Men's Primary Care for $19. They'll review your baseline to determine a game plan that's built for, again, the biology of your body. Your situation will be different from others, and Total Men's gets that. Quit putting off that conversation about your weight. Total Men's Primary Care has the answers built specifically for you. Taking care of your health has never been easier. Go to TotalMens.com. Click on the big yellow button to book an appointment. Total Men's Primary Care, the doctor's office just for men.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Guests on the Horn appear courtesy of the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina Hotline. Vaqueros now delivers and offers curbside pickup. For info on placing your lunch or dinner order, visit vaqueroscafe.com.
You damn right. Hope everybody's having a good Monday. Happy spring break for a lot of folks out there. You parents and kids, enjoy your week. It's also that week. It's tournament week. Brackets are out. People are trying to figure out who will advance. And the Texas men's and women's basketball teams have games coming up. We now know start times for both. We will get you all that information. We'll break it down, including what happened in Kansas City when the Texas Longhorns did that again to the Kansas Jayhawks. It's Chad and Zay on a Monday. I'm Chad Hastings. The man with a big smile on his face because of what Texas did to Kansas is Isaiah Collier. What's up, Zay?
Kobe Bryant said one time, job's not finished. Job's not finished, Chad. We were happy on Saturday. Sunday was cool. Now, focusing on, as E. Hogan says, the toothpaste.
The toothpaste?
Colgate.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait a minute. What's that analogy? I was a little behind. Focus on the toothpaste. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it caught me off guard yesterday, too, when E. Hogan was saying, I was like, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah. The toothpaste school.
E. Hogan is a little bit older than me. That's a good old kind of reference because I don't know how many people are rocking Colgate anymore.
Nah.
I don't know how many people are using that tooth. I'm a Crest man myself.
Huh.
What about you?
H-E-B brand.
You're rocking generic toothpaste?
Yeah.
Hey, if you're going to go any direction there, H-E-B's the way to go.
Yeah, it's H-E-B. Can't go wrong with that.
Legendary generic stuff from H-E-B.
Exactly.
It's generic stuff that ain't generic. It's awesome generic stuff is what it is. Shout out to H-E-B on a Monday. Lots of stuff to get into bracket-wise, and there's all kinds of info to get to you today. We'll lay it all out for you where we're going to be this week, game-watching parties and tip times and all that good stuff. We will get all of that out. Real quick, shout-out for you Longhorn fans. I'm assuming you would want me to give this guy a shout-out. He's pretty damn good. And he can afford to pay for dinner. Scotty Scheffler wins the Players by, I think in the end it was like 4 or 5 strokes. It ended up being fairly easy, even though it got a little tight during the final round. Scheffler's back to the number one golfer in the world status, and he won $4.5 million just yesterday.
Damn.
Wow. One of the biggest purses they have ever produced in the PGA. So congrats to Scotty Scheffler on that. There are also congrats to the Longhorn baseball team. We won't talk a ton about them probably this week, but Zay, you said you needed 10-4 in the 14-game homestand. They are off to a 5-0 start.
That's what I'm talking about.
5-0.
Turning around, Coach Pierce. Turning around.
8-1, 10-4, 16-6. nothing to see here. They're moving on. They're getting those bats, woken up. They're getting those runs where they need them. 9-7 now. Mike Harge from the afternoon show and baseball guy. Last week he said he wanted them over 500 by the end of the week. He got what he wanted. 9-7, and now 5-0 in the homestand.
That's what I'm talking about.
Congrats to Coach Pierce and his group. We will not forget about them this week. Tomorrow and Wednesday, they play North Dakota State. Boy, it must be nice for those guys to come to Austin, Texas, to play a little baseball. They'll do that the next couple nights. All right, so let's jump right in here with Texas. Zay, we'll get to where they are in the bracket, but I'll let you gush about them a little bit against Kansas. It was just a carbon copy in a way to what they pulled off at the Moody Center, but I did not think they could do that in Kansas City. By the end of that game, by the 4-minute timeout, Kansas City was silent. That building was quiet because of what Texas was doing to them. 76-56 was the final score. What'd you think?
Very impressed. Very impressed. When they said Timmy Allen wasn't going to be able to play at the beginning of the Big 12 tournament that Thursday, I was a little worried because we know what Timmy Allen means to this ball club. He does everything really well, just from his passing, second in assists. His defense is solid, and you could give him the ball at certain times, and he could go get you a bucket. So not having that veteran leadership, and now going to an 8-man rotation. You know how consistent I've been about this 9-man rotation, Chad. Now having to go 8-man, having to tell Arterio Morris, yo, bro, you're going to have to step up and play these key minutes in the best conference in the nation where teams are out here desperate. TCU, they're a desperate team. They're trying to move up, or they were trying to move up in their seeding. Now they're a 6th seed. And then Oklahoma State, as you saw, being the first one out, they were fighting for their tournament lives. So those two games, those were tough, and you got past those teams, and then you play against the Big 12 champs in Kansas, and then you handle them by 20. What a performance. And it starts with the most outstanding player of the Big 12 tournament, Dylan Dessou. How good was the Pflugerville-Hendrickson alum? I mean, he's finally showing us how excited we were when he was coming in as that transfer from Vanderbilt, playing for Jerry Stackhouse, leading the SEC in rebounding. And you just knew, I really close and good friends with his trainer, Zach Urbanus. I played basketball high school with him at Bowie. His younger brothers was in my wedding, and Zach, he would tell me all the time last year, yo, Dylan could be the best player on this team when he gets right. And I was like, Zach, get the F out of here. You better get out of my face. I've seen Dylan Dessou. He be looking like a baby deer out there, all wobbly and stuff, just awkward. And he still has those moments. He had a little travel this weekend that was awkward, but hey, Zach had a point. He saw him every day working, getting better, getting that knee right. And man, that push floater shot, that's become his signature. We know Sir'Jabari Rice has a signature pump fake. That floater one-hand push shot, that's Dylan Dessou's signature shot. He was knocking it down from the free throw line, from the wing. It didn't matter. And when you're able to throw the ball in the post and get that scoring from your interior, because there's so much focus on the 3 guards, Sir'Jabari Rice, Marcus Carr, Tyrese Hunter. There's so much focus on them, which there should be. Sir'Jabari Rice, one of the best players in the country, best 6th man in the country, even though he was starting this whole weekend. And then Marcus Carr being first team all Big 12, averaging the 17 a game. Obviously, they're going to have eyes on them. And we know Tyrese Hunter, just the ball being in his hands as the point guard, eyes are on him as well. So when you're able to throw the ball in to Dylan Dessou and be confident in him one-on-one, getting buckets, man, that just takes this team on a huge skyrocket. Like this team, beforehand, we were worried about the bigs. Now we can't say that as much. Now I'm worried about Timmy Allen getting inserted back into the lineup and where he fits. Because what we saw this weekend with this 3-guard lineup, and you have 2 bigs out there, whether the bigs are Dylan Dessou and Christian Bishop, Dylan Dessou and Dylan Mitchell, Christian Bishop and Brock Cunningham, etc., the floor was spaced out like crazy, and it allowed Dylan Dessou and Christian Bishop to work inside. Even Dylan Mitchell had a layup where he was at the bucket, and he was like, man, I'm basically by myself. I have a little man on me. This is different.
Yeah, 3 different guys of the bigs were able to, at times, use the athleticism, put the ball on the floor, and just drive for easy buckets.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's beautiful. And Coach Terry, this coaching staff, they were so impressive with their adjustments, man. They were showing us stuff that I haven't seen all season long. And it was really impressive from the stuff that they were running and they were throwing at Kansas. I mean, you're playing the team that you've already played 2 times. They basically know you by the ins and outs. So with no Timmy Allen, that obviously helped. And I'm not naive to Kansas not having Bill Self. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame coach. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And look at that when you're filling out your bracket, guys. I know he's probably going to be back, but they also were without Texas Tech transfer Kevin McCullough, which I've told you and the people listen to us, Chad, how big he is for that Jayhawk team. Like, I got them maybe losing second round. I really have to look at that matchup again because Kansas, with no Kevin McCullough, he has back spasms right now. They got 9-8 Arkansas, Illinois. Either of those teams could beat that Kansas team we saw Texas play on Saturday. Yes, Texas was good. Yes, Texas did what they needed to do offensively and defensively, and Coach Terry and this coaching staff was great. But that Kansas team with no Kevin McCullough and the ball's in Dajuan Harris's hands a little bit too much, where things could get very ugly for him. I mean, Dajuan Harris, oh boy, had 4 turnovers. Huge turnovers.
Yeah,
throwing the ball out of bounds, just looking uncomfortable. If I'm a Kansas fan, I'm nervous.
Texas never let him get started.
At all.
Yeah.
I'm really nervous. And going back to the offense that we haven't seen, Chad, and we know Coach Donald Wall, he has offensive responsibilities. He's been great this season. They were doing inverted pick and rolls. You only see that like in the league. You do not see that very often in the college game where it works.
Define an inverted pick and roll for the people.
So let's, for example, you have Christian Bishop, like one of the first plays of the game, Dylan DeSue had the ball. Marcus Carr went and set an on-ball screen for him where Dylan DeSue had that nice dunk to start the game. He had a wide open dunk, and Grady Dick and KJ Adams. Grady Dick was guarding Marcus Carr, and Marcus Carr, you're not used to guards setting the on-ball screen for your big man.
Okay, you're saying so inverted in that the smaller guy is setting it for the big
Correct.
guy.
Smaller guy setting it for the big guy.
Yeah.
So that's different. For a big man like KJ Adams, you're not used to being the guy going for pick and rolls.
He's not used to chasing
You're
that.
not used to chasing that.
Okay.
So that led to a wide open dunk. And then there was a play where Christian Bishop in the second half, he had the ball. Marcus Carr set a screen, and it was an inverted pick and pop. And Christian Bishop went to the hole, got double, turned around, threw it to Marcus Carr for a huge 3. We haven't seen stuff like that. And, you know, if I'm Timmy Allen and I'm watching these last 3 games, he might have to have a Roschon Johnson moment. Meaning he might have to go to this coaching staff and say, hey, guys, I have the competitor nature in me. I get it. I'm a dog. I'm tough. But what I saw this weekend coming off just on the bench, watching my brothers play, which Timmy Allen was such a great teammate. He was so into the game.
He was.
You know, he was locked in, just a perfect teammate. I loved the way he was and how he carried himself this weekend because a lot of guys sulk. A lot of guys, when they're not playing, they're so down that they're not playing, it's hard for them to get hyped for their other guys. But if I'm Timmy Allen, I might let the coaching staff know, hey, Coach Terry, I don't mind coming off the bench. We know Sir'Jabari Rice, those first 2 games against Oklahoma State and TCU, it took him a little bit to get used to the flow of starting. And then against Kansas, he figured it out.
Yeah, so you'd be okay with that if they change that lineup and stay where they are?
Yes,
Okay.
Because that opens up so many things for the bigs that you didn't have at times when Timmy Allen was in the lineup. I'm not saying that they're better without Timmy Allen. That's not what I'm saying. And if the Horns want to get to where they need to go, they're going to need Timmy Allen for sure. But I am saying there are times where it could get congested. With him and Dylan Mitchell in at the same time, Timmy Allen, I mean, it could get really congested because those guys that are playing them, who's guarding them, they could help off a lot easier because you're not worried about Dylan Mitchell or Timmy Allen shooting threes. With Brock Cunningham shooting over 40% from 3, you can't help on him. When you have that 3-guard lineup, including Brock Cunningham and Dylan DeSue, when the ball goes to Dylan DeSue, you can't help on anybody. When Timmy Allen's in the game, you could take his man and kind of cheat over there and bring that double, and then the defense is going to get caught in some type of rotation depending on the ball movement. But that's the beauty with this Texas team. They have so many different lineups that you could play based on the game, based on the situation that you need this time of the year, because each game is going to be different. There's going to be games where you need Dylan Dessou and Christian Bishop to step up because they're bigs, and the Horns have done a really good job these last 3 games, well, these last 4 games, if you include Kansas at the Mood a week ago or so, dominating the boards and not getting dominated on the boards. They might barely win, but they're still winning the rebounding battle, where those last 3 losses that we saw, Texas Tech, TCU and Fort Worth, Baylor and Waco, they got killed on the boards. So by this coaching staff mixing and matching different lineups and having that 2-man game with Dylan Dessou and Marcus Carr against Kansas, that was a thing of beauty. But yeah, you could play small sometimes with Timmy Allen at the 4. Maybe you're playing a more guard-centric team and then have Brock Cunningham at the 5. They're just different lineups that Coach Terry and these guys can play with, and it's hard to scout. That's hard to prepare for if you're somebody like Colgate or in the second round, Penn State or A&M.
So Longhorns out-rebound Kansas in Kansas City. Points in the paint was 38-28. I like that. And in the TCU game, they were up over 40 in the paint, which is something that they haven't really done a whole lot of. We got text already rolling in. If you want to get in on the Specs text line, 337-3776. It says, good morning, Chad and Zay. Dessou has more freedom in the lane without Timmy Allen out there. He's more emphatic than Allen. Dessou finally looks like a star. Just got to stay out of foul trouble. It was interesting how this was forced on Texas to discover it, because earlier in the season I asked the question of, does Jabari Rice need to be a starter? And you thought I was trying to make trouble, and so did other Longhorn fans. But it was also about, I think the logic was going to be guard for guard in that situation. This was a forced small for big situation, and like you said, it's now opened up other things. The coaches went along with it. The coaches, made the best out of it. To beat Kansas by 20 in Kansas City, it's not something they thought it was going to be, but that's ultimately what it produces. So we'll take a look at them on Thursday evening. We'll get you set up for that start time here in a second. But Thursday evening now against Colgate, are we going to see Jabari Rice in the starting lineup and Timmy Allen willing to come off the bench?
Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be the tricky thing that this coaching staff's going to have to deal with all week long, because Timmy Allen started every game this year, and except the ones that he was hurt in, and you won with him and you won without him. So he hasn't played great as of late. Even that Kansas game where they won, where he played at the Mood, he only had 6 points. So yeah, but there's a lot of things that Timmy Allen does that doesn't show up in the stat sheet. Like, he's the best charge taker on the team. Leads the team in charges by a long shot. Like, that's not even close. Timmy Allen leads the league in charges. So him coming off the bench, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because he could bring a spark with his type of play and this type of energy. Is just, man, that floor was spaced like crazy. Like Marcus Carr getting shots, and then they went to like a old Princeton-style offense at times, where the ball would go to the high post, and Brock Cunningham, Christian Bishop, Dylan Dessou, all those guys being such good passers. Jabari Rice had about 3 backdoor cut layups against Kansas that were huge, that just led to the spacing. And once you start making those layups inside, even though coach is telling you, yo, be careful on the help because we got shooters out there, once you see a guy getting killed down low, your eyes start looking down low and you start kind of creeping to help. That's just instinct. And then you lose track of your man, where Jabari Rice and Marcus Carr, those guys were cutting back door and getting those layups. So again, there's so many different lineups and different types of styles that this team could play, which makes it exciting. And we saw that this weekend.
All right, so if you have not heard officially, the Longhorns are slated for a 6:25 tip against Colgate. 6:25. They're going to Des Moines, Iowa as the number 2 seed in the Midwest region. We'll get into the seedings and how certain teams got seeded, what happened to Kansas, and yes, that Longhorn possible second-round matchup that the committee put together. But it's 6:25, so we'll go network pregame at 6. We're going to do our extended 30-minute pregame at 5:30, and if you're looking for a place on Thursday, we figured since it's the 2 crazy days of the tournament, we'd go to one of our favorite crazy places and that is Twin Peaks.
Yes, sir.
Twin Peaks Round Rock on Thursday. That's where you can go check out the Longhorn game with the fellas. Ball Don't Lie is going to be out there starting at 3, extended pregame at 5:30. And I'm just going to tell everybody right now, I'm probably going to be hanging at Twin Peaks Round Rock on Thursday. Now, by the time A&M tips off, everybody I work with will probably have gone home, and it'll just be me. But if you're one of my if you're one of my Aggie brothers or sisters, or one of my Longhorn friends, can't we all just get along? If you want to just sit around, we'll watch the game together on Thursday night. How
Hell
about
no.
that?
Hell no.
You're gonna be out of there.
I'm gone.
You're gonna be nowhere
I
near
am gone.
when the Aggies tip off. All right, we'll get to all that, including the matchup that may be in the second round. Plus, North Carolina had a choice, and they said no. And we'll get into whether or not Oklahoma State should have been in, and should Kansas have been seated higher. All that is coming up. It is Monday. The brackets are out there. By the way, we've got a bracket contest as well. I'll tell you about that next on The Horn. All right, let's talk a little Apple leasing. Love my car from Apple Leasing, and you will love your situation too. It's so easy. The Easy Lease system, you're going to call, you have a couple phone conversations, and they are going to get that process started. You just call 346-9977, just like I did. I talked to Beth, and she explained the whole leasing system to me. Something I'd never been around, but man, it made sense to me right away. You're driving the part of the car, you're paying for the part of the car that you're using, I should say, and you're not having to worry about all that crazy maintenance stuff and keeping the car literally alive at the very end, 10, 12, and 15 years down the line. If you always like the feel of driving a newer car, then leasing is the perfect idea for you. If you're trying to keep all the finances straight, leasing can be the perfect idea for you. Let them show you how. Easiest and safest way to get a new car. They get the same discounts and incentives that the dealers do, but they're going to keep the hassle for themselves and just pass those dealer savings on to you. Call 346-9977 or check them out online at appleleasing.com.
Chad and Zay.
Not a bad song title for this time of year. A lot of teams trying to find that stroke to get them to the next round of the tournament. Survive in advance. Do it twice. Extra practice. Try to do it twice again. Extra practice. Try to do it twice again, and they'll let you cut the nets down. Chad and Zay with you on a Monday, and it's Billy Squier, kids. Oh, Billy was a big deal back in the 80s. The stroke. What was that other one? I can't think of it with this playing. It's great stuff. I like Billy. I was a Billy Squier guy. You get raised on any Billy Squier? Was that in the house at all?
No.
No.
This is the jam, though.
The big high note there.
Yeah, you better have the stroke this time of the year if you win the tournament.
Gotta have it. You gotta have it. Billy Squier getting us started. Our man CB was asking if you can win the TV if you're out of state. I'm assuming that's how that works. If you go to hornfm.com, we once again have the bracket contest. You go in, you're picking a bracket. Even I've picked this bracket the last few years. For years, I never filled out the paper because it was just too much of a hassle for me. But I like the electronic version. Old man likes the electronics in this case. And you go fill it out, and the winner, ultimate winner, is going to get a free TV from Audio Visual Consultation. So, yes, CB, I'm assuming if you're out of state, we'll figure out a way to get you that TV. I'm assuming that's how that works. So get on hornfm.com. Check out the bracket challenge. Also, at hornfm.com, go check out the ticket giveaway. Zay and Bucky tell you about Syntex tickets all the time. Well, Shelby and that crew at Syntex Tickets, they're sending 2 lucky winners to the Final Fours in Dallas and in Houston. So you can go register separately. You can register for the women's tickets. You can register for the men's tickets. Here's the catch. Listen carefully. Each household can win once. The same household can't win both. Y'all got that? Good. Hornfm.com.
Yeah.
If you can't figure your way around that one, you don't deserve it.
Yeah. Don't be a sleazeball out there, please.
No need to be a sleazeball. I just want to make sure everybody understands that. The same household cannot win twice in a 30-day period. That's the rule. There you go. Now do your workaround. You know what I'm talking about. All right, so a lot of tournament talk today as the brackets are out. I got both brackets right here, men's bracket, women's bracket, whatever you need. For you Texas women's fans, they did get to the championship game in Kansas City, came up short against Iowa State. Iowa State's a damn good team. No real insult there, although the Longhorns were the number 1 seed. They get the regular season, so the Texas teams end up kind of going, mirror image. One gets regular season, one gets the tournament title. Texas women take on East Carolina on Saturday night, and we now know it is a 9 o'clock start. And remember, this is the first 2 rounds at the Moody Center. So you get 2 more chances, hopefully, assuming they advance in that first game. You may get 2 more chances to give the women's team your love out at the Moody Center. So 9 o'clock, the scheduled tip time on Saturday. We found that one out literally an hour ago. So all that stuff piled on this week. And the other big story, before we get to more tournament stuff, let's just get it out there. It's apparently official today. Chris Beard is going to coach Ole Miss. Zay, the only thing in the way of this story was Ole Miss being in the SEC tournament. As soon as they were out, Chris Beard and his family Chris Beard and the kids, right? He's got a couple kids.
Yes, a couple daughters.
They head to Oxford. You showed me pictures today.
Just the daughters, him, and I guess the AD on the left. I'm assuming.
So apparently
she's not there.
He has separated himself from the woman.
Clean-shaven Chris Beard.
That's right. And the beard is gone.
The beard is gone for Beard.
Ironically. So the beard is gone from Texas and from his face, and now he's in Oxford, Mississippi.
He looks slim.
He does. The last part of his statement was, I know we have one of the best venues in the country in the SJB Pavilion, and we're going to work tirelessly to build a championship caliber program. I can't wait to connect with our players and recruits and begin this journey together. Hotty toddy.
Oh,
end quote.
Gosh, man.
I'm not dogging Ole Miss here at all. Ole Miss girl, if you're out there, I'm not dogging out your school. That just had to taste sour as he saw it typed out. knowing that deep down he is a Texas guy. He was at his perfect place. He was in his perfect situation, and it got destroyed. And he helped destroy it, by the way, but it all got taken away. And now he's got to fix his mouth to say somebody else's call sign. In this case, Hotty Toddy.
Yeah.
Woo!
Who knows who he's going to put on his coaching staff? We'll see what happens. But Ole Miss, I don't care how good of a coach you are, it's a little different than Lubbock. As you know, the facilities might be good because it's the SEC and all, but getting brothers down to Oxford might be a little tough. Just with history.
What do you think about? You think facilities are better than Lubbock?
No. I think they're good,
Okay.
but
You think Lubbock's probably better right now?
yeah, Lubbock's basketball facilities are crazy.
No, they are good.
Like,
Yeah.
they're crazy. So, we'll see. But he'll be going transfer portal. We know he loves that. He'll be going the JUCO route. We know he knows JUCO basketball, junior colleges and stuff. Because it's Ole Miss basketball.
Right. Oh, no doubt. All right. So that's Chris Beard. So in a few years, and I predicted this would happen a couple weeks ago. I just had this weird feeling of Chris Beard's going to end up in the SEC, and Texas will play Chris Beard at some point when they're in the SEC. The question, I guess, will be, whose hand does he shake after the game? Quick check-in, Zay, as a Longhorn fan. Big 12 tournament title. You want to talk about Rodney Terry and the situation yet, or you want to wait?
Oh, I'd hire him like 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're in
But y'all know that's family. I'm a little biased.
I guess that's true.
But if I wasn't biased, I'd still hire him.
You'd still say
2 weeks ago instead of 3.
just make him the guy.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see what the Longhorns decide to do there. Obviously, Rodney Terry and the coach is doing a great job throughout the Big 12 tournament. Somebody texted us, this Lifetime Longhorns saw what looked like Texas running offensive plays, and it just seemed like RT and the staff had a game plan that kept KU off balance, even some easy inbounds passes for easy shots. Hook 'em basketball emoji.
Yo,
R-Dub.
I remember complaining last year about this Chris Beard team. Like, why the hell aren't you playing Christian Bishop and Dylan Dessou at the same time? He would never do that. He would have to have one of them as the 5, and Timmy Allen played power forward, the 4, the whole entire season, and they ended up as a 7th seed. This season, Chris Beard was doing a lot of that. Then he got the boot, and Coach Terry came in and said, you know what? We're not that big. Maybe we should get a little bit bigger. Let's play these guys at the same time and see what happens. And it looks good.
Yeah, it does.
It worked out.
Yep.
And, just being able to, like, against Kansas, those weren't plays. They were just going to what works. Like when Marcus Carr and Dylan Dessou just went to a 2-man game in the last 10 minutes of the second half, when they just went pick and roll on the far left side, and Arterio Morris and Sir-Jabari Rice, one was in the corner, one was on the wing, and Brock Cunningham was sliding along that baseline. That's just NBA stuff, going to what works. Until y'all stop it, we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that motion stuff, and I love it. I love it.
Texas took Kansas out. Now, they also took Kansas out of the seeding everybody thought they were going to have. So it's Houston that gets the Midwest #1 seed, which ends in Kansas City for the regional finals. That's what a lot of people thought Kansas was going to get. Houston got that 1 seed, and then the talk was about the 7 seed in the Longhorns region. Zay, did you happen to be looking at a TV screen as that popped up? Because everybody and their dog that saw A&M as a 7 seed, they knew what was coming. You had to know what was coming. We talked about this, the possibility of it. I started looking at it weeks ago, and there was a moment where a 2-7 Texas and Texas A&M matchup would have made sense. Now, those that follow the brackets would tell you A&M had probably played themselves into a higher seed. I saw them projected as high as 4 yesterday. Maybe a 5. What Duke ended up as.
5.
Right in that 5 line, somewhere in there. But once you saw them pop up, you realize, oh, here we go. So for all of you that are fans of Texas or Texas A&M, you both got screwed.
Yeah.
In the end. Now, Texas probably got screwed a little less because you're the 2 seed in this. But A&M is going to be that's a tough 7 seed if they advance. Obviously, Texas is obviously facing any 2 seed for A&M is probably not what needed to be lined up. But here's the message I give to everybody. Everybody on both sides of the house divided. We're just not basketball people. We're not. We're not basketball schools. mean, did y'all pay attention to the reaction last night? They didn't ask the tournament committee guy on CBS why they did it. Did y'all hear that part? Now, Seth, what's his name? Seth Davis, is that his name? He griped, but when they got the guy on from the committee, the head of the committee, they didn't ask him. They didn't ask him. That tells you everything you need to know, because ultimately Texas getting screwed by the bracket does not matter to the committee, and neither does whatever happens to A&M. It just doesn't matter, because we're not basketball schools, and we both kind of got screwed on the deal, and it is what it is.
So I would say in the first round, the first 2 rounds, this week 1 coming up, Texas got screwed. But for the region, I think Texas has a really good region. I really do.
You're saying if they get by that second game?
If they get by them, I think Texas is in a good place. I mean, the play-in game, we'll see what happens there with Mississippi State and Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Iowa State's going to win that just because Iowa State had the tough gauntlet of the Big 12 they had to deal with. So I think they're battle-tested, and we know what Iowa State can do when they're playing well. Xavier, I saw them get the brakes beat off them by Marquette, but Marquette's really good. But after that, Houston, we don't know what they're going to be like with no Marcus Sasser. They said he might come back, but he's dealing with a groin injury.
Yeah, I was going to say, do we know if he's out or?
Do we know how you have to get low in a defensive stance to try to stop somebody? What you feel when you slide from left to right and you have to stop dead when somebody makes a crossover and go the opposite way? That groin might tighten up real quick.
Were you surprised they got the second overall number 1 seed considering his injury?
Yes.
Because I figured Kansas was going to get that.
Yes, Kansas definitely should have got that. It makes no sense why they didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, the committee, they're so biased. They're so biased on so many things. Like you just talked about it with Texas and Texas A&M. That makes no sense. I mean, Texas A&M won 17 of their last 20 games. They have one of the toughest schedules in the nation. Top or 39 strength of schedule. They beat 4. They went 4-1 against top 25 teams. Like, they got hosed, but it is what it is. And then Kansas, most quad 1 wins out of anybody, where U of H might have 6 at best, while Kansas has double that.
Right.
Like, AAC ain't nothing. AAC is trash, and they didn't even win their conference tournament. Who cares if Marcus Sasser didn't play? They didn't win it, and they have played a weak-ass schedule, yet Kansas gets penalized? That doesn't make any sense. To be honest, Texas should be that number 1 seed in front of Houston, but that's fine. It's cool. We don't want that number 1 seed pressure. We don't need that. We'll be the number 2. We'll use that as bulletin board material. And yeah, I'll take that. But at the end of the day, I think Texas has a fairly good region compared to everybody else. Like Kansas, that region's nuts. That region is nuts in the West.
Because UCLA ended up as a 2.
Yeah. Oof. And they... Watch out in the second round with them, because Northwestern and Boise State, they don't have Jaden Clark. He was Pac-12 defensive player of the year.
Right.
He's huge for them. And they did play Arizona well. If Courtney Ramey didn't hit that big shot to win the game, which, of course, Courtney Ramey hits these big shots where he's at when he's at Arizona or whatever. I knew that was going to happen. Once he shot that shot, I knew that was going in. I was like, oh, this is Courtney Ramey. Just because it's him, he might be 0 for whatever, but his only 3 of the game came in clutch time. So we'll see what Arizona does. But yeah, UCLA in that West region, Gonzaga, number 3, TCU, number 6, Arkansas, Illinois, 8, 9. I mean, UConn, number 4. Some people got UConn to win the whole thing. I saw yesterday on ESPN, I think Billis has them going to the Final Four or something.
Billis has Duke and UConn in the final.
I mean, is Calhoun and Coach K still here? What the hell?
Wow. He's really impressed with what they're doing, how Duke's playing right now. We have a texter that said A&M's not going to beat Penn State anyway. Did you watch Bama beat the crap out of them? A&M sucks, according to one of our
Bama's pretty
texters.
Good.
Bama's really good. Bama, we talked about this during a break. Bama is using that situation from earlier in the season to their advantage. They are using what everybody's saying about them to fire that team up. They have really come together, and they put it on the Aggies yesterday. For Bama to end up as the overall number 1 seed, I think surprised a lot of people. But by the time we got there, and what else, the other things that happened, like the Houston loss, it made sense.
Yeah, think about all the bulletin board material Nate Oates has. There's the Brandon Miller situation for the whole team plus Brandon Miller, plus Nate Oates, what they're saying about him. People are thinking that he's a disgrace for coaching this team, and he should have suspended Brandon Miller himself. They have the Nick Saban factor. If I'm Nate Oates, I'm saying, y'all don't even get love on the campus. How many times do y'all walk around and people ask, you play football?
Yeah, and
you know how disrespectful that is?
You can always play that one at Bama.
You can always play that one at Bama. Can you play football? And be like, no, we're the number one team in the nation. You just asked if I play football? Get out of my face.
Get to this arena.
Get to the arena. Watch us blow out A&M.
Buy a ticket.
Blow out anybody in the country. Yeah. Brandon Miller and Jamal Queerley. I love Jamal Queerley. I've been watching him since he was in high school, and he was a big-time viral high school guy on Ball Is Life and all these, mixtapes that you see online and stuff. And he committed to Villanova, played for Jay Wright early in his career, and then transferred to Alabama. And people were like, why would you leave Villanova? They win all these championships. You would fit into that system. But he was like, Jay Wright holding me back. Okay, now Nate Oates, he ain't holding him back at all. And clearly the 22 he hit last night or whatever 20 he had, he was giving them buckets.
Yep, they look really good right now. And here's the path, by the way, if you haven't seen it for Bama. Birmingham, Louisville, Houston. That's what they would do. Birmingham, Louisville, Houston. Wow. You think Bama fans will show up in those three places? I know they'll show up in the first two. Good grief. That is crazy.
Don't sleep on Huggy and them, though, in that second-round game.
No, you're right.
Don't sleep on Huggy and them in that second-round game, because Huggy Bear, he in the Hall of Fame. He could coach. I know West Virginia, the Horns blew him out by 30 this season, but Eric Stevenson, Key Johnson, they still got some guys.
By the way, real quick before this break, in that 8-9 Maryland-West Virginia game, I'm a pro wrestling guy. Is it cool if I throw some trash cans and baseball bats out on the floor right before they start? That's going to be a bloodthirsty basketball game. It may end 38-37, but it might be fun to watch if you like physical basketball.
Yeah.
Please let them play, officials. Please let them play in the Maryland-West Virginia game.
I don't see a Big 12 matchup that I'm not taking first round.
You like everybody to advance?
All Big 12 teams, all 7. I just can't see it.
We'll be talking about those matchups as the week goes on. Up next, we'll talk a little bit about the play-in games, plus a huge number from the weekend that maybe only I noticed, but we got to give them some love for it. That is next on The Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk a little Underdog Fantasy. Easiest place to play fantasy sports, and it is tournament time. March Madness is here. College basketball pick'em is the fastest way to get into the action. Get these pick'em games. I've been talking about them all season, all the way back to football season. You pick whether your favorite player is going to have a higher or lower stat total in this week's March Madness games for a chance to win big. So you have so many games to choose from there. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build a pick'em entry. You can also make rivals picks, pitting 2 players against each other on a specific stat total, things like that. Check out the pick insurance option as well, which gets you a better chance to win. Sign up today with the promo code HORN. Get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with my promo code HORN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. It's the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. It's Underdog Fantasy.
Chad and Zay.
Oh, there you go. Texas back in the tournament. 63 other teams will end up there. There's other teams trying to get in Dayton. We'll get into that. Now this is some Aerosmith right here. You can have your little jokes about certain parts of Aerosmith's time. Not this time. This is Aerosmith. You want some Aerosmith? You go back to this time. Go back to some Back in the Saddle. Draw the Line. Toys in the Attic. That's the Aerosmith you go to. Zay, Aerosmith? Yes?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
All
Now,
right.
I don't understand when you be talking about different eras and phases of Aerosmith.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
okay.
one band.
That's a little deep level.
That's deep.
Aerosmith is the band.
I get that.
Right, just, yeah.
Yeah, but you always talk about different eras of Aerosmith.
Which
If this was the good era.
See,
When was there a bad era?
No, to me, they didn't go bad until Just Push Play. It was all the way through that. I was with them through Pump and what's it called? The Living on the Edge and Crying and Crazy Amazing, whatever that album is called. I can't think of what that album's called. But that, I was with them all the way through. I saw him a couple years ago. Steven's still a beast as a front man.
Steven's still going hard?
Love Aerosmith, man. That's probably my second favorite American rock band after Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. It's one of those two for me. They kind of switch places all the time. I love them both. Love them both. Aerosmith and Billy Squier getting us started today.
Now, is
Fantastic.
Steven Tyler considered a sex symbol? Because you always say Tom Petty ain't.
Tom Petty's definitely not a sex symbol.
Tom Petty definitely is a sex symbol.
Aerosmith. Yes. Steven Tyler, I think the ladies would tell you he's that guy. Yeah, he's that kind of front man. Got the androgyny going on, not afraid. He's got scarves all over the place, got the big mouth and the lips and the hair and he's big showman.
The big mouth.
Yeah, you've seen Steven Tyler, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, wide mouth. But
Yeah.
that's what women look at?
I'm just saying that's just all part of the look, you know.
Okay.
It's noticeable when you're on a stage, and if I'm sitting at the back of the hall, I can still see.
I'm
it.
just trying to compare the two. Tom Petty, Steven Tyler. I don't get how one's a sex symbol and one's not.
Yeah, that's my guess. Y'all can tell
Coming
me if I'm
from
wrong.
yo ass.
You can tell me, hey, ladies, tell me if I'm wrong. There are some ladies that are into Tom Petty.
Yeah, a lot.
Look, I'm glad there are women that are into different kinds of guys. Otherwise, I never would have found a wife. Because I think I look more like Tom Petty than I look like Steven Tyler. But that's a whole nother discussion. All right, we got Joe Cook of Inside Texas coming up at 1:05. Longhorn baseball staying. Really wishing they could just stay at home because they're 5-0 already on this homestand. We'll talk to him about Texas basketball and the path to Houston that's been laid before them. And is he looking forward to a house-divided matchup for a trip to the Sweet 16, if that's what we get? We'll get into all of that. Right now, let's go crap bag, and we'll talk about the play-in games.
Chad's crap bag.
Crap bag. If you need an easy way to remember it, just think of a bag of crap.
Brought to you by AV Consultations. Go to your phone and call 255-8678 or go to avconsultations.com. All right. First off, the play-in games. They've almost got this right. I hate that they exist, but if you're going to do it this way, at least they stop calling them actual tournament games. At least they call it the first four now. But obviously they're not tournament games. The very first tournament game, you can't have the same seed as the team you're playing. That, by the way, that negates it right away. Plus, every game's in Dayton. That's not a tournament game. But what I want, Zay, is for them to alter this a little bit more. I don't think you should have to play in Dayton if you won your conference tournament. That's an automatic bid. Let them be in. Let them be in and play on a Thursday or a Friday. What we need, I think, are two more games like Pitt and Mississippi State and Arizona State and Nevada. Where's Oklahoma State's game here?
God, they got screwed.
They need to be in Dayton. If you're really going to kick them out of the main bracket, okay, let them go to Dayton. And then whoever the other teams would be. I don't have it all in front of me right now. Take those first four teams out and stick them in two games if you want. I know you'd have to rearrange some things and a couple teams would get kicked out, whatever. But figure it out to where we get 4 games in Dayton like that we all know, okay, you're playing to get in this tournament. I just feel bad for an A&M Corpus Christi. They won their conference tournament. Why are you making them play again that quickly to now get in? Let it just Just put them in the bracket, please. I don't understand why. I don't understand why they don't do it that way.
Yeah, I agree. If you win your conference tournament, then you deserve to straight up be in the tournament. Going back to Oklahoma State, they played 18 quad one games. They might have went 6-12 in those 18 quad one games, but still, all the injuries that Mike Boynton dealt with this season, from Avery Anderson breaking his wrist and Cisse, their best defender, he wasn't healthy basically all season long. Like Texas playing them 3 times, they only saw Cisse once, and that was in the tournament. So I think they should have been the committee should have been a little bit more lenient there, but I don't know, maybe they're penalizing them even more so for doing that cheating stuff, which was the reason why they weren't allowed in the tournament last year. Who knows?
You might be right, but I'd like a little bit more of that vibe to the play-in games if we could do it. But that comes up this week, and they will do those in Dayton once again. So we'll see how those games play out. Oklahoma State, the first team out that did not get into the bracket. And if you care, Joe Lunardi got 67 out of 68 right.
Damn, Joe, who'd he miss?
That one.
He missed that one.
I think he no, it wasn't that. Oh, sorry. Did Nevada get in or get
Nevada got in?
So he's had Rutgers instead of Nevada. That's the only one he got wrong.
Wow.
That's all he missed. Unbelievable. Unreal. All right. So we've got apparently we got some NFL updates coming up as well.
Yep.
Trade deadline, free agency stuff coming up. We will get into that. Also, real quick on the football front, let me just give love to St. Louis. 38,300 plus for the XFL game yesterday.
Good grief.
Biggest crowd that's ever showed up for a spring football game, and I think that includes the first USFL, which says a lot if that's true. 38,300 plus. St. Louis won the game, and I think that makes them, I guess they're 4-0 now. Along with DC, both those teams, I think, kept winning and stay undefeated. So congrats to that crowd. I don't know if it survives. I don't know if it gets to the end of the season or not, but 38,000 is pretty impressive. All right, speaking of football, apparently there is some Jimmy Garoppolo news out there. We will get that to you. Also, our man Joe Cook of Inside Texas is coming up. We'll talk a little Longhorn football, but we'll also focus on the basketball team and the path that's now been set before that team for Houston. And what about this baseball team? 5-0 in the homestand. Have we really learned anything considering the opponents? We'll talk about it next on The Horn. All right, let's go hour number 2 on a Monday. Hope your bracket is coming along. Hope you're figuring it out. Remember to go to hornfm.com for our bracket contest. And we've been laying out all the stuff for Texas men's and women's basketball. Men play Thursday at 6:25. Women play Saturday night at 9 o'clock. The men are the 2 seed in the Midwest region on their side. The women end up as the 4 seed in their region. Start in Austin. They'll have to go through Seattle to get to Dallas. But both are obviously trying to keep it in the state when it comes to the Final Four. Women up in Dallas. Of course, the men are in Houston. We also have a lot of NFL notes that are flying around. I'm Chad Hastings. Isaiah Collier is here. We're about to talk to Joe Cook of Inside Texas and On3.com, at Joseph Cook 89 on Twitter. We'll go ahead and bring him in here on the discussion since he's the one that let me know a second ago. You saw it flash across that Jimmy Garoppolo has a new home. Jimmy G going to rock some black and silver, going to the Raiders on a 3-year deal, reunites with Josh McDaniels there, because obviously they would have been together in New England. So you're a Texans fan, Joe. Give me your reaction to this, because I know I'd heard discussions of, is Garoppolo maybe going to end up in Houston?
I'm fine with it. I think I'm becoming less and less enamored with maybe going quarterback, especially if you can get Will Anderson, because Texans have a bad pass rush and had one last year. Maybe you get somebody you like at 12. I'm not big on Anthony Richardson or Will Levis, but maybe the Texans front office is, and that's someone who should be there at 12. But I don't know if I don't think Jimmy G was going to really entertain the idea of the Texans. The Raiders are slightly more capable of competing this upcoming season than the Texans are, and I think that's what he's looking for at this part of his career rather than just a paycheck. And plus with the Texans, like, if you really aren't enamored with the quarterback class this year, then why would you sign Jimmy G, put together that big contract, and then not try to win so you can get Caleb Williams? It just didn't all really make that much sense. So good for him. I don't think it'll do that much, especially in that division, though. So
yeah, 3 years, $57 million for Jimmy G. That's pretty hefty for somebody of his caliber, but we see the money getting thrown around for these quarterbacks. Let me ask you this, Joe, because you said that you would rather not have Will Levis or Anthony Richardson. You weren't wowed by Anthony Richardson's combine?
I was definitely wowed by that. I mean, he's one of the best physical players to, go through those drills. But I just think that if you're going to draft him, you're basically asking him to put those physical tools on display every single play, because the offensive line is good but not great. But there's just, at least right now, there's no weapons around him. Like Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks, yeah, that's not really a core of skill players that you want to give to a brand new quarterback who's got some stuff in his game that needs development. So I don't know. This is a very intriguing draft for the Texans, especially now that the Panthers jumped them, and they're going to definitely take a quarterback. So do you go with your second option? Do you just trade down? Do you go Will Anderson? Do you go with Carter, even with what's going on off the field? It's become a very interesting draft, but it's also a draft to where all these outcomes are starting to break more and more against the Texans and for them.
To me, it would seem easy. The Texans just take that other quarterback. You're saying you'd be okay with them not doing that? If let's say Carolina takes Young, you'd be okay with the Texans saying just passing up Stroud and doing something else?
Sure, but I'd also be okay with them taking Stroud.
Okay.
Kind of both those things. I'm not hard line one way or the other.
I got you. And that also happened over the weekend too. While since the last show, that Carolina jumps up. The Bears will now pick 9th in the first round. Carolina jumps all the way up there to go number 1, and that is now Frank Reich in Carolina.
Yeah,
do I have that right? Yeah, Frank Reich will be picking there. So Jimmy Garoppolo to the Raiders, and someone texted me. Our guy CB texted, if I'm ready, as not only a Cowboys fan but a Bucs fan, for the Baker Mayfield era in Tampa. Apparently the Bucs are taking a look at Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
To maybe battle Kyle Trask, I did say that without laughing, for the starting quarterback job in Tampa. Really?
It's Baker's to lose.
Is that what Tampa fans are about to go from? Tom Brady to Baker versus Trask.
You go from Jameis to Brady, and then you have to go back down on the
Yo, Tom Brady's never won a Heisman. Can you say that?
That's true.
That's okay then.
Good point.
That's what I'm saying.
Jameis has one.
Jameis got one.
Baker has one.
Yeah.
Fair point.
It's going down.
Kyle Trask does not.
You don't.
No.
It's Baker's to lose.
You're just trying to help him convince himself, aren't you?
He's trying to make me feel better. I do not know if it's working. All right. Speaking of feeling better, Joe, this Texas baseball team has to feel better right now. 5-0 in the homestand, got themselves back over 500 at 9-7. But are we really learning anything right now about Texas?
I don't think so. I think they did definitely take care of the business that they needed to take care of. Manhattan, not a very good team. I don't know how much they'll contend in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. They unfortunately had a pretty significant injury to a player on game one on Friday night. And Texas just, there was a stretch, I think, in game two where there was almost 20 straight balls thrown by Manhattan pitching.
Wow.
So
20?
Almost, I think, at least north of 15, something like that. So
a bit outside.
Yeah, I have not seen very many teams of that quality make it to the dish, but Texas did what they needed to do, and you saw that a little bit in the amount of unearned runs that the Longhorns scored. But there are plenty of earned runs, and guys did kind of what they needed to do. And that's part of why this schedule was designed in the way it was. This is a team that's going to be growing, and the best way to grow is to, of course, receive the information. But if you can do it with a bunch of wins, and that only helps the cause. And there's going to be some more opportunities for that, especially this week with North Dakota State. Another double midweek, a chance to get some more guys innings, at-bats, all that before conference play gets here and before you know it.
Yep.
Joe, this basketball team, wait, before I ask you, you going to Des Moines?
I think I'm going to skip Des Moines, but if
Okay,
I go
Des
to
Moines.
KC and make second weekend, I'll be there, there on out.
I feel you. Let me ask you about this basketball team, though, against Kansas. We saw what they did, 20 points. I don't care if Bill Self's there or not. I don't care if Kevin McCullough's there or not. That's impressive against that Jayhawk team. And now with that momentum they're taking against Colgate and into the tournament as a number 2 seed, we saw they did this without Timmy Allen. And now this coaching staff, they have some decisions to make this week on how to insert Timmy Allen back into the offense or in the starting lineup. Even if they do that, where do you think Coach Terry and this coaching staff go about putting Timmy Allen back in the rotation? Do you think they should bring him off the bench like we saw these last 3 games, or since he didn't play, or just put him back in the starting lineup and keep Serge Jabari Rice at that 6-man role?
I think they'll put him back in the lineup because, Timmy was a 35-minute player before his injury, and that's not someone that you applaud the fact that they made it and did what they did without him. But you still are going to want the contributions on both ends of the floor from a guy that you trust out to be out there more than 30 minutes a game. When you have Timmy Allen and Marcus Carr on the floor at the same time, Timmy Allen is really good at cutting without the ball. He's great at it, and he sets up a lot of his mid-range shots that way. But once he gets the ball in his hands, he's an ISO player. And that's kind of the same, a lot holds true for Carr. And I think that's why you saw, like y'all were talking about earlier, a bunch of the backdoor cuts really work because there was only one ISO player on the floor. So that meant that there were 4 other guys who are willing to move, willing to pass, and it made it work a lot better. So I think that's something that you can take with you to the tournament. I don't think there's much reason to be worried about Colgate when the Longhorns are on offense, just because they may have a guy with size, but I don't think they have the athleticism, and it's not like they were playing in a very good Patriot League this year. Texas will have to be cognizant just of closing out on 3. I think Colgate's the number 1 3-point shooting team in the country.
Yeah, 40%.
Right, and I think they're number 2 in overall field goal percentage.
50%.
Right, so these guys can shoot. So closing out on, I think you're going to probably see a lot of hard closeouts because Texas, I bet they feel confident enough that if Colgate tries to take them off the dribble, they'll be able to get to that spot before the Colgate offensive player. But as far as Allen goes, if you want to have 2 ISO players on the floor at the same time, or maybe 1.5, depending on who has the ball in their hands, I think you take that just because of how important he's been all year to the team on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, Texas has a lot of guys after college are probably going to go play in Europe. Colgate has a lot of guys after college. They're going to law school.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they look like. I mean, respect them, you better, but these dudes, not many of them, I think, could jump over the yellow books.
And they don't even have much of a tough schedule. Like I think they played Auburn and got beat by them. I think they had like 1 win over a tournament team, and it may have been like Vermont or something like that. And Ken Palm was not very – now they had good ranking in net, but their strength of schedule is like in the 350s or 330s or
Yo,
something like that.
Their best win was against Syracuse early in the season, and this is why Jim Boeheim needs to retire like he did. Hey, Jim, you're playing against one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league. Maybe you should get out of this dated 2-3 zone. What are we doing? They lit his ass up. Playing a 2-3 zone against the best three-point shooting team is like leaving your woman with George Clooney. It's stupid. It's stupid. So, yeah, that game, you can't take anything from that because Texas are going to play man. And, yeah, it's just, gosh, Boeheim, terrible.
Eventually they'll miss, Zay. Eventually George Clooney will say something stupid, and the woman will be repulsed.
Yeah, okay.
That's the plan.
Yeah, ER George Clooney. That's how stupid it is.
That is the plan. Somebody texted us 17 balls in a row in that game with Texas that you were referencing. Joe Cook of Inside Texas joining us in studio. So give me your thoughts about the Longhorns setup here in the Midwest. Obviously, they got the 2, the possible matchup with A&M in the second round. Xavier's the 3, Indiana the 4, and obviously Houston's up there at the top as the 1 seed. What do you think of the Longhorns' path here?
I like the path as far as, the teams they may match up with. I don't think A&M or Texas were done a ton of favors by being in that same 4-team area because honestly, A&M's better than that 7 seed. And I know they played a pretty weak non-conference schedule, and I know the committee tries to be very against valuing only end-of-year results. That's why they don't really put much into conference tournaments for some reason.
But they had played themselves above a 7,
yeah,
right?
They're number 2 in the SEC, which is
so disrespectful.
And they're
Good
a
grief.
conference tournament or a conference tournament finalist against the number 1 overall seed. So
What would they have done if they beat Bama?
probably moved up to a 6 or something like
I was
that.
going to say,
Yeah.
right? Slide them up to a 6 seed?
So, and that would have made more sense. So I don't think either team was done a lot of favors. I think if you're Texas, you feel pretty good about the fact that if you make it to Kansas City, you're not going to have to deal with the Jayhawks in Kansas City again. Now,
Although it shouldn't scare you.
however,
I want them again.
After Saturday, you're not scared of them anywhere.
The other teams in that region, you have Iowa. They'll definitely travel, but they're in 8, and they got to play U of H, who may be the best team in the country.
Mm-hmm.
They would travel. I don't think Drake has a big enough following to make a difference in Kansas City.
How dare you? How dare you underestimating the Drake fans' travel habits?
And then Iowa State, and they're going to go through Xavier, which I don't see them making it through. So as far as environments go, I think they're going to be in good shape. And then, that carrot on a stick of Houston, Texas for a Final Four is pretty good reason to fight through whatever crowd you may see. But I mean, here's the thing. We've talked in years past about when Texas is a 7 or if they're a 6, like, oh no, they got matched up with that team. You don't want to see them. And Texas is that team this year. Like they're the 2 seed. And in Colgate, yeah, they're a good shooting team, and they won their conference and blew through it basically, but they're a 15 seed. And I know 15s have beaten 2s in the past, but if we're coming back here next Monday and we're just tail between our legs and Chad's walking in here all high and mighty about the Aggies getting a face off and maybe going past
you ain't gonna see me, Joe. I'm calling in sick. Chad will be by himself. It will be y'all two. You will know where I will be hibernating. You will not see me.
But
Hell
I mean,
no.
Come on,
If they lose first Colgate, y'all will not see me Friday, Monday.
Colgate, I understand. I'm just saying if they end up matching up with the Aggies.
You'll see me. I'll be around.
Okay.
But still.
He'll go to CVS, buy everything, a toothpaste, and just throw it in a dumpster fire. Every Colgate tube of toothpaste. But I mean, Texas is a team no one wants to face this year. They're top 20 in advanced metrics. They're not huge, but they got big guys and skilled big guys, and they have experienced guards. And even an experienced guard coming off the bench, and their least experienced guard is Arterio Morris, who's pretty darn athletic and has grown a lot in the past few games. So, I mean, it would be a massive disappointment to lose in round 1, obviously, 15-2. It would be a significant disappointment to lose before you make the Sweet 16. But that's to still say Sweet 16s are sweet for a reason. There's only 16 of them when 360-something teams are playing in college basketball. But the team has expectations, and I think a lot of people outside of the Texas Spheres have expectations that the Longhorns will do really well because of what they have been able to do, who's on their team, and what they've done in spite of, Ole Miss's current coach leaving them halfway through the year.
So, Joe, I wouldn't ask this I might ask it normally. I am going to ask it because one of the most famous guys that ever played basketball for Texas says this is what he wants. TJ Ford last week laid out the opinion of make Rodney Terry the head coach. Now that they've done what they've done in Kansas City, are you still in hold mode? Are you still in let's see mode? Or as a Texas fan, not just somebody that covers the team, but as a fan, is that your head coach? You want that interim to come off right now?
I don't know if I want it to come off right now. And the thing is, you look at how the season went, and the season is way more data than what 64-team tournament's going to be. But it's the way the sport goes, in that you're defined by what happens in the 64-team tournament. If he makes a deep run, and then you've got the fact that he guided this team through a lot of different crazy stuff to where it's at to be a number 2 seed, that's acing the randomness part and also doing well in the not as random part where you're facing, Kansas at home. You're taking, you're beating Iowa State at home. You're beating Kansas State on the road. It's just a really delicate thing that you also have to balance. What's his roster building ability? Because I think we've seen that in-game coaching wise, Rodney Terry's he's fine. I don't know if he's great. I don't know if he's bad. But this year he was fine. It's all going to be about roster building in this current portal era. And you've seen that Ron Holland and A.J. Johnson have kind of given, I don't want to say given guarantees, that's not the case, but shown indications that they are pretty locked in with Rodney Terry. They could have already asked to be out of their NLI already. They haven't yet. Texas is in good standing with some 2024 recruits. But it's going to come down to, is he going to be able to get maybe a big man out of the portal or anybody, best player available out of the portal? Is he going to be able to get, the pieces they need out of the portal? That's almost as important as the guys as coaching the team on the floor in this era of college basketball. And I think that remains to be seen, but the thing that's in front of him is what he does in the tournament. And I think if he does something that Rick Barnes could only do twice in however many years he was at Texas and get to either Sweet 16 and more likely an Elite 8, I don't see how you move on from Rodney Terry, especially when you look around and say, do you want John Calipari? Sure, he can build a team, but he can't run that team.
What was that sound say? Okay,
do you want Nate Oates, considering everything that's happened this year and the fact that it's going to cost a lot? That
was a double grunt.
You have to admit that Texas, they don't owe Shaka any money right now, and I don't think they did once he left, and they definitely don't owe Chris Beard any money. So they don't have to pay a big buyout.
Hell, Joe, this might be the only time Shaka deserves the money with what he's doing.
Well, we'll see what happens in round 1. But still, Texas doesn't owe any head coach a bunch of future obligations, so maybe they want to do something big with some money that they have it lying around for their brand new Moody Center, but I don't know how you do that if once you look at what Rodney Terry did through the regular season, but you got to see what he does in the tournament too, I believe.
All right, how about this for both of you? If they beat A&M to get to the Sweet 16, and then they beat Houston, preventing the Cougars from getting to the Final Four in Houston, and then Texas goes to the Final Four, that's all I'll tell you. Is he in then?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Then it's done, right?
Texas only been to the Final Four once, Chad. Hell yeah.
Well, technically twice, but way back then.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
like an
nobody
18
counts
tournament.
those.
Nobody
counts that.
They only let like 8 or 10 in back then. But yes, modern day, you're right. I'm just checking because what's been laid out in front of them, they got those 2 opportunities. They have some other basketball type stuff right now, but just in terms of like old school in-state stuff.
Oh yeah,
to take if those 2 teams are taken out.
And if you beat
the fan base would love that.
If you beat Kelvin Sampson, who I don't know how feasible or how viable he is, because he's getting up there and he knows for sure he's getting up there as far as coaches go, and he knows for sure that whenever he steps down, his son's going to be head coach at Houston. And that's still probably someone that some Texas fans look at if they could ignore the text messages he sent at Oklahoma, which is, child's play now. You look at that, and Rodney Terry goes and beats him. Yeah, that's going to be something big feather in his cap, and probably easily something that would give him the job. A Final Four, like they're 4.
Yeah,
there are 360 teams playing Division I college basketball, and you're the last 4. It's great.
That'd be elite stuff. By the way, did y'all hear if you beat Houston in this tournament, you get Kelvin Sampson's phone minutes? Did y'all know that? You get them all. Every bit of them.
on singular.
It's crazy. Yes. Exactly.
Flip phone,
That's right. Exactly. On a flip phone, like in Breaking Bad. It's on one of those. Or like in The Wire.
burner.
It's on a burner that they're going to snap and throw in the trash can, like in The Wire. All right. Joe Cook, Inside Texas, on3.com, at Joseph Cook 89. Brother, enjoy the start of the tournament, and we'll talk to you next week and see if we're talking about the Longhorns in the Sweet 16.
Y'all have fun at Twin Peaks. I'll have as many screens as I can put on my living room media stand up running on Thursday.
It's a tough job, man. Really is. It's a tough job. Just not this week. Not this week. That is Joe Cook.
Thank you, Joe.
We do it every Monday about this time. Let us know what you think of the Longhorns bracket situation taking on Colgate. Remember, 6:25 is the tip time on Thursday. We'll do a special extended pregame starting at 5:30. And yes, the fellas are going to be over there at Twin Peaks, up there, depending on where you are, in the Round Rock location of Twin Peaks. And then remember, Zay and I are going to have this show 12 to 3 on Friday. We're heading down south to the Stastny location of Twin Peaks. So we'll be watching games down there on Friday and obviously talking about what happens on Thursday night. So a lot of stuff going on this week. Up next, let's get you a flex segment. Colleen Ellison came up a little bit short. I haven't even heard from Mike Hard. Is Hard's coming into work today? We'll tell you what happened to his Eagles next on The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
I do not recognize it, Zay. What do you got?
T-Rex.
T-Rex, man.
Jeepster.
All right. My bad to all the T-Rex fans out there. All right, T-Rex. T-Rex, Aerosmith, Billy Squire. T-Rex was a little bit out of my time frame, but I have heard a little bit of T-Rex. Just didn't know that one. You could have played another song I would have known as T-Rex. I didn't know this one. The Whatster? What is it?
Jeepster.
The Jeepster. All right. Fair enough. All right. It's Chad and Zay on this Monday, taking a look at the brackets, getting ready for the tournament. Will we get a little Texas and Texas A&M it would be on Saturday for a trip to the Sweet 16? We shall see. Remember, Thursday night, it's back-to-back in Des Moines. What a wild time it's going to be in Des Moines with Longhorn fans and Aggie fans both showing up to support their teams. Texas will play at 6:25 or so. The Aggie game with Penn State is scheduled for around 9 o'clock. And right now my plan is, assuming that everybody at the house is good with this, I think I've got the clearance. I'm headed to the Round Rock Twin Peaks location. I'm just going to hang out. I'll hang out with you Longhorn fans. We'll watch and see if your team gets by Colgate. And if y'all want to hang out, we'll see if my Aggies can get by Penn State. I mean, nobody likes Penn State, right? Everybody root for the Aggies. Longhorn fans, you want to show up? Root for the Aggies? Don't you want to see a house-divided matchup? Come on. No?
No, I actually want to see
not-
y'all lose first round,
that's
but that's
not
just me.
That's not what you want?
I could care less. It's tournament time.
Woo! See, that's the thing. Again, I have unprogrammed some of the Aggie stuff over the course of my lifetime, but there's one thing you cannot program out of me. There just ain't nothing cooler to me than watching the Aggies play Texas. I'm sorry. There's nothing. Nothing. I am willing to lose by any amount for the feeling of beating Texas. I am. That's like part of the programming.
Yeah, because y'all haven't done it much, so I get it.
How dare you? There's no need.
I get it.
There's no
I get it.
need.
I get it. Like, I don't have to see this game. I'm good facing Penn State. Just see y'all out early first round.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Just such rudeness.
Did you ever think that the committee was looking at Texas A&M and they said, you know what? We know they should be better, but these suits that Buzz is wearing, that should deduct points. 7th seed. Maybe a 5. If he dressed better, it'd probably be a 5. But he dresses so badly in those 3-piece Paul Bear-ass suits that can't work.
Are you saying this is a vest deduction?
It should be.
They got a vest deduction?
If I was on the committee, I'd say something like, have y'all seen this guy's suits? To a time that we don't have to wear suits anymore. We can be very comfortable in our little fleece and long sleeves that Coach Terry and the coaching staff be rocking every game. The white ones, those are fly. I might have to give me some when I call Coach Terry later on this summer. Hey, Coach, what y'all wearing all year? 3X. I need that.
I'm just wondering if I'm wondering if ultimately, I like this theory that I heard over the weekend, that CBS just thought, you know what? We're not going to get that football game once they get back together, so let's try to grab a basketball game if we can. Can y'all tell the committee to please put that together? Yeah, and for those of you out there that believe that's a coincidence, you're high. No one believes that's an actual coincidence, right?
Oh,
I mean, come on.
That's too easy.
It
was lazy.
Yeah.
How easy it was for the committee.
It really was, man. It really was. But I'm excited about the possibility of it. That'd be just some extra energy on a round of 32 game that we wouldn't have had. But we'll see. Long way to go to get there. We've already had people texting in today. They think A&M's going to lose to Penn State, and it's not even going to matter. And, heck, I haven't seen Colgate play at all, but you got to say if Texas gets by Colgate, too. I'm not trying to dog Texas there, but we just know anything can happen in a tournament, and with what we've seen over the years, we've now seen a 16 beat a 1. We've seen multiple 15s beat a 2. You can't overlook anybody. This sport has gotten particularly dangerous when you get to this time of the year. There just aren't any guarantees.
No, zero. We saw number 2 Kentucky go down last year to St. Peter's, the Peacocks. So it could happen.
Right.
Now, this Colgate team matching up to Texas, it's going to be tough for them to upset the
It
Horns.
definitely will, yeah.
I mean, I've watched Colgate all morning, a couple of games that they played, like the Syracuse one and then a couple of ones in their Patriot League. And what I'll say about them, if you are a Texas alum and you've been to Gregory Gym, the greatest pickup game you've ever watched, that's Colgate.
Wow. Okay.
That's not trying to disrespect them, but I'm just saying the greatest pickup game you've ever watched.
That sounds like bulletin board
That's
material.
Colgate.
That's bulletin board material for Colgate's head coach if it gets to him.
Take it, coach. Take it.
Oh,
With those
my
law
God.
firm players that you got on the team, take it.
By the way, I don't mean this as a slight to Shaka Smart at all, but I really hope Vermont beats Marquette because I need a new T-shirt. I'll buy that Vermont shirt in a second. I'll have a Catamount shirt on the way if they pull it off.
I hate how much I like Coach Shaka Smart's team. They're so tough. They have two of the best guards in the nation, in Jones and Kolick.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kolick's like a lefty Steve Nash out there coming out of Santa Clara. He is nice. And before the season, Marquette was picked 9th in the Big East. And they asked Tyler Kolick, how you feel about that? He said straight up, F them. And then they came in and won the Big East and then won the Big East tournament. So watch out for Marquette. Shaka's got a really good team. I'm not surprised that a lot of people, national media, are picking them to win that region and go to the Final Four.
Yeah, congrats to Shaka. Get that number 2 seed in the East region. They will start in Columbus and then work their way towards New York if they can get through. So a lot of bracket talk, obviously, today. Let's get you a little flex segment here. The champions have been crowned, and unfortunately, Mike Harge does not get to try to get a ring. Here we go.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit BrainVault.com and join the movement.
You could feel it. You could see it. And talking to Mike Harge, getting ready for this championship game with Colleen Ellison and Dallas Kimball, you could feel the respect coming from Mike Harge. He was not getting a big attitude about the game at all. He certainly was rooting for his Colleen Ellison Eagles, but in the end, I think his trepidation was correct. So ultimately, Dallas Kimball won that game 69-48. Won it by 21. And Zay, I was just looking at the box score here. Keller was able to give Ellison 33 minutes, but he's been banged up a little bit lately. He got 12 points to lead the way, but Kimball had 2 guys combined for 13 of 21 shooting, hit 2 threes, and had 31 points combined. Ellison shot 60% in the fourth quarter and 59% for the game from the floor.
That's incredible.
And 43% from beyond the arc for the game. They just lit it up.
Yeah, Dallas Kimball is a really good team when they lose a McDonald's All-American and Arterio Morris. And they got to state last year with Arterio, and this year without him, they win it all.
Ugh.
Like the Dallas area, we talked about how good they were in football with, South Oak Cliff and Duncanville and DeSoto winning state championships. I mean, look what they did in basketball. You see Dallas Kimball win 5A and then 6A, which we're going to talk about in a second, Lake Hollins won. So the talent is just ridiculous out of the Dallas area, football and basketball. And, we know the battle has been with Houston teams and Dallas teams for the majority of just Texas in general. And Dallas, they're starting to really take a step up when it comes to being the dominant city in Texas.
No doubt. Lake Highlands did win the championship 55-44 in 6A over Beaumont United. Beaumont United won 5A last year, went up to 6A, and got to the championship game. So they're good.
That's nuts.
They're all right. Yeah, they're decent. And as we go back up through 4A, Oak Cliff Faith Family Academy wins 70-56. They win the state title. Hitchcock won the 3A state title, 68-45. A bit of a close one in 2A as Lipan won 50-46, and then Grayford won the 1A championship, 49-44. So, Zay, what do you think about basketball only having one division like per class? Because we only have one champ, right, in
Yeah.
each class.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah, I like it. I hate it in football.
They should just have. Do you think they should just have one in football?
Yes, I wish that Division 1 6A should play Division 2 6A the next week after they play at Jerry World. Same with 5A too. They just don't do it.
Yeah, it's weird that they've added more there. I'm sure there's all kinds of reasoning about some, bigger schools, smaller schools, and everything.
Yeah, to that 6A game, Chad, Lake Highlands has maybe the best player in the nation in Trey Johnson, who Texas has offered already. Now, that was Chris Beard's Texas squad, but I'm sure Rodney Terry is going to keep that offer with him. He had 29 points in the state championship game, and this is state, like the championship. You're dropping 29 with no shot clock. That's nuts.
He went 8 for 17, 3 of 7 from beyond the arc. He hit all 10 of his free throws and had 8 boards.
Yeah. He's a really good player, old school kind of player, gets to his spots, really likes that mid-range, has a nice, pretty jumper, and he's a guy that you can't let get out of Texas. Just like Ron Holland in 2023 being the best player in Texas, Mr. Basketball, Trey Johnson, he's going to be next year Mr. Basketball for 2024.
Yeah, name's kind of basic. Sounds like the game's not.
Right?
Sounds like the talent is not.
Well, he spells Trey
Johnson.
T-R-E, so it ain't.
That's true.
It ain't that basic.
A little flash.
Little flash,
little
yeah,
to
little
the Trey.
pizzazz,
That's
you
good.
know.
That's good. Little T-R-E. You spell it however you want if you're doing that in a state title game. Congrats to all the state champions crowned over the weekend, and congratulations to that Colleen Ellison team. Just maybe outside of that flex area, but because of our man Mike Harge, we'll go ahead and claim Colleen Ellison. We've been following that team for the last few weeks, and if you haven't seen Jamaron Keller, he is impressive. He'll be at Oklahoma State next year.
Yeah, we'll see him next year.
You will see him next year, Longhorn fans. You'll get one more year in the Big 12, and you're going to have to deal with Mr. Keller at least for that season. So congrats to Colleen Ellison for a hell of a run all the way to their first state title game. Now they just got to get over that hump and win it all. Obviously tough to do with the talent, like Dazay saying, coming out of the Dallas area. Coming up in the 2 o'clock hour, we'll go back to the brackets, take a look at what the Longhorns are looking at, the games, the schedules, our watch parties, contests for you if you want to get in on the bracket challenge, plus NFL free agency. It really cranks up this week, but it's already produced some stories, whether it's Carolina jumping into that first slot, whether it's Jalen Ramsey moving from the NFC to the AFC, or Jimmy Garoppolo. He's got a new home. He's going to Vegas. We'll hit all of that coming up at 2 o'clock. Up next, it's Where We At in Society with Zay. Don't move. It is Monday. Brackets are out, and the tournament starts on Thursday. This is The Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk a little sinus and snoring specialist. This is the place that can help you. You got bad snoring going on, think you might have sleep apnea. Maybe you know you have sleep apnea. Allergies, sinus infections, sinus headaches, all that stuff. Yeah, don't just let that continue to get worse. Go see Dr. Slaughter. Go see the good folks at Sinus and Snoring Specialist. They can help you out, just like they did for me back in 2017. For me, it was the balloon sinuplasty procedure. They did a couple other things as well. Remember, he's got Dr. Slaughter has surgical and non-surgical options that others just don't have. And it is not just as simple as you snore, they're going to tell you need a CPAP machine. Nope, that's not how it works anymore. It's certainly not how it works at Sinus and Snoring Specialists. A lot of different options out there and stuff you may not have even heard about that could really help you out. So call and set up an appointment, 512-601-0303, or go to sinussnoringent.com. It's Sinus and Snoring Specialists. Feel clear, rested, and healthy.
Chad and Zay.
Man, nice bass line. Love that. I don't recognize it though, Zay. What we got?
Yeah, you shouldn't. Kano, can't hold back your lovin'.
Kano?
Kano.
How are we spelling Kano?
Kano.
Okay. Kano. That's very nice. Very nice. Kano, T-Rex, Aerosmith, and Billy Squire have all been a part of the show today. We appreciate you being a part of the show today. By the way, slight adjustment for, I guess, maybe a couple weeks coming up. We're going to take our musical discussions, our album discussions, and we'll postpone a little bit because of the tournament. We got on this Thursday is going to be so busy getting ready for the Texas game and all the games that are going on. We're going to be updating you on scores and stuff. So we're going to take a little pause. Don't worry. I will make Zay listen to Back in Black. And I actually did start listening to the Ghostface Killer record as well.
That Iron Man?
Started listening to Iron Man a little bit. Already heard a couple good tracks on that one. And so we'll get to that. We'll get back to that. That never goes away. But what we decided to do was we decided to throw our man B. Lang into that segment. We wanted to talk to Brandon Lang before Texas played. He loves his college basketball. Give you some thoughts on, on the bracket and what things are looking like to him. So we will get that done on Thursday. We were unable to get him before everything started, but we will get him on that first day at 2:05. So that's coming up a little later in the week. Got a lot of NFL stuff going on. Let me also say thank you to our 779 subscribers so far on YouTube, youtube.com/@thehornaustin. You can check out the shows there, a lot of videos, a lot of different things there. Rodney Terry speaking to the media after the announcement yesterday. If you missed that, that is on the YouTube page. So thank you for subscribing so you won't miss anything there. All right, let's get to where we at in society. We'll see what Zay's got today.
Where are we at in society today?
All right, Zay, I have not looked at Twitter yet. Do I need to go there? Is that what's
Yeah, you
happening?
need to go look at Twitter.
Okay.
Ja Morant is still serving his suspension for carrying the pistol at the strip club, and more information on that night has came out. The owner of the Denver strip club, Shotgun Willie's, says Ja Morant spent over $50K on tips a few weeks ago. He also said this kid, real young, was exceptionally respectful and sweet. He did not drink. He's marvelous. I mean, if you spend $50K, you're not going to say anything bad about the guy.
He dropped $50,000 in a strip club and didn't drink anything?
Yes. If you want to see proof, Chad, look at both pictures I sent you. There have been pics that were released from that night, and you see so much money just thrown around the ground, the tables.
It's covering everything.
Everything. Ja's in like a little booth chair getting his lap dance on, and if he's sober, then wow.
Oh, my God. That's crazy.
But yeah, you could see that Ja Morant had a good time. Like, he could go spend all this money. I mean, I don't like it. $50K is a little bit much, especially during the season. Like, if I'm Taylor Jenkins, I'm thinking, yo, bruh, we're kind of trying to do something special in a wide open NBA this year. Like,
again, this is the night they beat Denver, right?
Yes.
Isn't this the night they played and beat Denver?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you're dropping a lot of bread, bro. And I know people compare you to Allen Iverson on the court. There's some things that you don't want to do that Allen Iverson did off the court, bro.
Wow.
You need to relax a little bit. Like, seeing all this money on the ground, that's really an eye-opener. Like, when you hear $50K, you just think, okay, these guys, they spend that. You know these guys spend that. But when you actually see pictures, like, this picture looks ridiculous.
Oh, my God. That is amazing. Yeah, I'm going to retweet that. And if you can check that out. I'm at C Hastings 1049. Zay is at @ain't_that_Zay. But you literally, from where Ja Morant is in that room, you couldn't stand up and not step on money. I mean, it's everywhere. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never been to a strip club where that's going on. That much money just laying everywhere?
Yeah.
No chance.
Would have been better if Ja, while he was getting this lap dance, you could like see him eating chicken wings at the same time because you see the food in front of him.
The food is there.
The food is there.
Yeah.
And you doesn't really look touched, but you know it was good.
Oh my
Strip club food's always good.
Am I seeing that picture right? That he has his shirt off in this?
Yeah, shirt's off.
Yeah.
Jeans on though. Oh,
Okay.
girl, she ain't wearing much of anything.
Yeah. Okay.
So she's doing her job.
I'm trying to think if have you ever? I don't know if I've ever seen a guy. I'm not going to ask you because that would, I'm not trying to get you into any kind of bad discussion.
No, I'm good.
I'm just trying to think if I've ever seen a guy at a strip club getting a lap dance with no shirt on. I'm not sure if I've ever seen that.
Nah, I haven't seen it either.
But as we talk about sometimes in sports, if I look like they did with my shirt off, I might not wear a shirt either. If I look like John Morant with a shirt off, wow. But remember, no charges filed in that story. I haven't heard an update yet. He's supposed to miss at least 4 games, and this coming Friday was the day they were saying maybe he's back somewhere around there. Have you heard anything?
I haven't heard anything either.
I haven't either.
They look good without him when they played the Warriors. Tyrus Jones, he's one of the best backup point guards in the league out of Duke. So they handled them right when Draymond Green was elbowing Dylan Brooks all up in his face and stuff. You know, they've been playing decent without him. Just how is he going to be when he gets back? Is he going to use this as fuel, kind of like what Alabama's doing with the Brandon Miller situation? Like everybody's against me. Everybody thinks they know me. They have no idea. Or is he going to let this affect him and become a distraction?
Yeah, and it's just all the one thing we don't know, and I guess until he would tell everybody this, we don't know exactly what he's dealing with. He's made a reference to, I got to be able to deal with stress better and things like that. Because I wouldn't tell him not to go to a strip club if he wants to go to a strip club, whatever. But like that picture, that picture tells a story of some sort. And I don't think every bit of that story is necessarily good. If he wants that to be his story, that's cool. But like, all right, so you're suspended from the team. There was the gun situation there.
Let's not forget all the other little
and there's other
incidences that he's been involved in too.
So it's like, all right, man. So
which you probably think that has to do with this 4-game suspension also.
Yes, maybe that's a cumulative thing.
Yeah.
So then it's just like bring it all together with what he's dealing with. Ultimately, are we talking about a mental health situation here that he needs counseling, medication, all of the above? Like, is that what we're talking about? Are we talking about drug dependency? Are we talking about alcohol? Like, what exactly is this? I guess that's what Memphis is trying to figure out, too. What gets you to a point where you're the best player on the team, you just beat Denver, and I can't think of another best player on a team in the NBA in my life. Maybe James Harden.
That's what I was about to say. I was
Maybe
about to
James
say
Harden.
The beard.
Who would have ended up in that exact situation that night. You know what I mean?
Right, I do.
I don't. That's where. And again, I'm not trying to be judgmental about. Well, I'm not trying to be that stuffy guy that says they shouldn't be going to strip clubs. That's not exactly it. It's just the full picture of everything that happened that night. You couldn't have just gone to the strip club and not gotten on Instagram Live.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, there's just there's just little things.
And then you
about
hear
it that
like
make
he
no
didn't,
sense.
and he didn't have a drink. So this is sober thinking.
Yes.
To get on Instagram Live, sober as hell.
Good point. Good
Not
point.
intoxicated, to throw that gun around, popping bottles and all that.
Yeah.
And you ain't drinking nothing?
Now, in the end, Ja might tell us, yeah, he said I wasn't drinking, but
I had a little
maybe I was
something in the
drinking.
cup.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a weird story. We'll continue to see how it develops, man. That's a goofy story.
What are the percentages in this picture at this very moment Def Leppard, Pour Some Sugar on Me is playing?
I'm going to say with that much money on the ground.
Look how she's twerking on them. Look how she is. Just think of the oh man.
I'm going to say.
You think it flows?
I'm going to say we are right in the middle of the second playing of Pour Some Sugar on Me that night. I think it's the second time. I think somebody screamed, "Roll back that Def Leppard. Let's go." To get that much money spread out, you need to be going back through the catalog again. And there are only so many songs they're going to play at a strip club. So I think it's the second playing.
Yo, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say Ja Morant probably never heard Def Leppard in his life. Just going out on a limb. He's probably heard it, but if you said, hey, you know there's a band called Def Leppard out there, if he didn't believe you, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, yeah, he doesn't know Def Leppard, but if you played him that song, he will think of a stripper. He'll think of the stripper that was dancing for him the last time he heard it. Oh, that song. I know that song. That's my strip club song. That's how a lot of people probably think of that. I probably think of that track.
Yo, John Morant, if he was listening to that Def Leppard, if it came out, if there's a video that comes out where we can hear the audio, and if it's Pour Some Sugar on Me, he's my new favorite player.
Yeah,
it's not even close.
It's that or Motley Crue's Girls, Girls, Girls. Probably one of those two. It's probably one of those two songs, maybe Closer by 9 Inch Nails. There's a few candidates that we could throw in there. Hopefully, Ja Morant gets it figured out, whatever he needs to get figured out, and gets back on the court very soon if that's ultimately what he wants to do. I would hope that's what he wants to do. We know that's what
that's how you afford the strip club, Ja.
Right.
You better get it back on that court.
Better get back out there. My God, I've never seen that much money spread out in a room, much less a strip club room. I've never seen anyone go to those lengths to get that much money spread around a room.
It's wild.
Wow. All right, now I'll ask the nerdy question. How do you clean all that up and disperse it amongst your employees? What do? You go bag it up? Like literally you get trash bags?
Strippers, they just put it in bags.
Okay.
That's what they do. Then at the end of the day, they go pay boss man his cut, and then they get their cut. Then they exit that thing.
Take the bag home.
Yeah, take the bag home.
I guess so. Take it to the bank.
That's right.
Take the bag to the ATM.
Don't take it to the bank. Just, put that's the stuff you put under the mattress.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's just cash, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got a different financial planner than I do. Okay, fair enough. That is where we at in society. We do it every day about 1:45 with Zay. Up next, we'll talk brackets, certainly. We know where the Texas men and women are, what's in front of them. Longhorn fans, do you want that second round matchup with the Aggies? Or are you like, Zay, do you want to see Penn State take them out in the first round? We'll talk about all that. NFL free agency as well, including big moves on the offensive and defensive line. And Jimmy Garoppolo is headed to Vegas. I'm sure he won't be able to find a date there. Ugly bastard. This is The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
It's a great beat. Hour number 3 on a Monday. Brackets are set. Get your bracket. We'll tell you how to get in our contest coming up here in a second. It's Chad and Zay on this Monday. I'm Chad Hastings. Isaiah Collier is here. He's picked out this beat especially for you. What do you got, Zay?
Shawty Low. They know. R.I.P. Shorty Low. D4L. Atlanta. Classic.
Shorty Low?
Shawty Low.
Oh, Shouty Low. My bad. See, I did it there.
Yeah, you went
Shouty
purple
Low.
cassette on us.
Shouty Low. I got to get it right.
Close enough.
You got to give me. I said it right the other day, though. I did say Shouty right the other day.
Yeah, you said it right.
Got to put some ow.
You said it
in
right.
there. Yeah. You can't go with the O. Shouty Low with the beat getting us started this hour. I always wanted to know, no matter what the song is, I always like the idea of you bragging that you were the one in the studio doing something, whatever it was, basic, like a cowbell or a triangle or a cymbal or whatever. In this case, if they actually got people to come in the studio and go, whoo, I think it'd be great to brag about it. Hey, man, that's me. That Shawty Low beat, that's me.
The hood guy.
I'm lead hood. That was me. That was my thing. But it could just been something that they, just had on the beat, ready to replicate. We got a lot of good music on the show already. We got music still coming. We got a lot of stuff that we are discussing today, including your brackets. They are out there. If you want to go to hornfm.com, you can enter our bracket contest. You'll be picking against me, Zay, whoever decides to jump in from the staff to make our picks. The only thing is, since we're on the staff, we can't win the prize, and the prize is a TV. Now, that's never mattered because I don't remember any of us ever being in first place, like at the end.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't ever remember that happening. But I do enjoy filling that out, and then you can go in and see how you do versus my picks or Aaron Hogan's picks or Bucky or Zay or however you want to do it. HornFM.com. AV consultation. Shout out to Tom and the crew. A free TV is once again the prize if you win.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yo, my wife won our family bracket last year.
Uh-huh.
Tell me why my pops and my mom called me talking about yesterday, hey, you might as well let your wife, Jessie, go on with E. Hogan and Patrick because she knows more than you do since she beat you last year.
Dang.
Ain't that a bitch?
That is rude.
What?
Rudeness.
I don't need that.
That's rude.
Yeah, so mom and dad, if I don't talk to y'all for a while, y'all know why. 'Cause that's
Man.
some BS.
I never thought I would say this, but maybe go with somebody else for the pre-show prep talk other than your dad. Apparently, Cece's not the guy to talk to you before you go on air.
Ain't that cold-blooded?
Come on, Cece.
Yeah, my wife over here picking her favorite colors and mascots winning. That just goes to show it don't matter how much you know this time of the year, anything can happen.
Bracket time gets ruthless when it comes to families and friends and that money you're trying to get. So get signed up for the bracket contest. Also, remember, Thursday and Friday, we're going to be hanging out at a different Twin Peaks location. Thursday for the Longhorn game, and yes, for that late-night Aggie game, I'm going to be hanging out. Round Rock location of Twin Peaks. Going to have the Ball Don't Lie crew out there. They'll start up at 3 o'clock. Extended pregame at 5:30. Longhorns tip about 6:25 or so. If you care, the Aggies are playing around 9. Obviously, that is the game that determines who the Longhorns will play. So you might care if you're a Longhorn fan. We've been going through the bracket. Texas, the 2 seed in the Midwest region. We will get to some of this NFL stuff. But real quick, Zay, earlier you said you think you're going to be picking all the Big 12 teams to advance. I believe that is what you said. Let me double check you here. So Iowa State is going to play a play-in winner, Mississippi State or Pitt. You like the Cyclones to advance, no doubt.
Yeah, I do.
Kansas over a 16. How far do you have, in your mind, how far do you have Kansas going right now?
I might have them losing second round, Chad.
Okay.
I really like Eric Musselman's team now, Arkansas, who they've struggled throughout the year, only going 8-10 in the SEC, 20-13 overall, but they haven't had their lottery pick, maybe future lottery pick, Nick Smith, throughout majority of that. he's a game changer. And now,
And he's definitely back.
yeah, he's
Okay.
definitely back, and he changes everything about their team. I remember that exhibition game before the season started at the Mood where the Razorbacks came into town. He was the only one that was hooping for Musselman's team when the Horns beat them by 30. Like, he could really go. So that record, it doesn't say how good this team really is. And even Illinois, they're solid when they get going. We saw that's one of Texas' losses this year. We know Terrence Shannon, the Texas Tech transfer, and Matthew Meyer, the Baylor transfer, both of those guys can fill it up. And they were the ones that really put it on Texas to give them the victory at Madison Square Garden. So I could see either one of those teams beating Kansas, especially with Kevin McCullough being a question mark. Back spasms, that's not something that you want to have, at this time of the year. That could flare up at any time. And he's so important for Bill Self's success and what he wants to do, getting the ball out of DeJuan Harris' hands. They're not that deep. I mean, Yesufu, he could come in and do some things at times. Rice is okay. Pettiford's all right. But you want that starting five to be clicking with Grady Dick and KJ Adams, Jalen Wilson, DeJuan Harris, and Kevin McCullough. When all those guys are playing healthy and are clicking at the right time, they're as good as anybody. We've seen it this year. That's why they won the Big 12. But now, even with Bill Self, we don't know how he's going to be with his health. I know he's out of the hospital, but we don't know what's going to happen with Kansas right now. So, yes, I could definitely see them losing that second round matchup for sure.
Yeah, and speaking of Bill Self, certainly wishing the best for him. He did get out of the hospital. They put a couple of stents in his heart, basically. He had, blocked arteries.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so not a heart attack, like they said late last week, but had some arterial blockage, I guess is how you would say that, and got a couple stents put in. So right now they're thinking he's going to be able to coach. Also in the West region, TCU will play a play-in winner, Arizona State or Nevada. So you like TCU to advance?
I do.
Out of that. K-State is on the other side of the bracket against Montana State. So you like them getting by a 3-14. Baylor's got a 3-14. They're playing UC Santa Barbara, the Gauchos. And then the other one is West Virginia in that 8-9 we talked about over Maryland. So you like Huggins' group to get by Maryland?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. Just all these teams are so battle-tested. They have their own ways of getting the job done with Huggins' group, just them being the aggressor. I know Stevenson could shoot. Johnson, he's a problem. They could be one of the most underrated backcourts in the nation. Baylor, that's the game that I'm most nervous about picking this bracket when it comes to the Big 12 teams, because I watched a little bit of UC Santa Barbara, and they could play. They got some guys on that team. And Baylor, they haven't been playing well as of late. I think Keontae George having that ankle injury against the Horns, he has not looked the same since that happened. And him being the leading scorer, that puts so much pressure on Adam Flagler and LJ Cryer to get buckets if Keontae George isn't playing like he's been playing all year long. So I really wouldn't be surprised if Baylor lost that first round matchup, even though I got the Bears advancing.
That'd be heartbreaking.
To who?
Baylor people.
Yeah, exactly. To them. Hey, they won it a couple years ago. They fine. They be all right.
The people of Waco. That's who would be upset
They
about
be
that
all
one.
right. They
Yeah.
got a national championship. I don't care.
Go Gauchos. That's another one. I'd buy that shirt too. You know what? Gauchos, if you knock Baylor off, I'll buy your shirt.
That'd be a fire shirt.
I've always liked your logo there, a little Gaucho action. All right, so we've been looking at brackets today. Remember, Texas men, 6:25 on Thursday. And again, we'll be checking it out at Twin Peaks Round Rock. The women will play Saturday night at 9, so you got to wait a while to check out the Texas women. But remember, you get to go support them at the Moody Center for one, and you hope, 2 games. Texas in the 4-13 against East Carolina. If you want to go check out the opponents, if they get by it, Louisville and Drake will tip at, I think, 6:30 on Saturday. So the women are in a Saturday-Monday situation there if they advance. All right, so we've been hitting a lot of bracket stuff. We don't want to forget about the NFL, though. There's a lot that's going to happen this week, and already we've had a couple of big stories hit today. And the biggest is Jimmy Garoppolo apparently has come to a deal with the Raiders. This is a 3-year deal for 68 million, something like
Hey,
that.
I thought it was 57. 67?
67.
Damn, Jimmy.
34 guaranteed.
I mean, I know you good looking and all, but damn.
Dude, and that's the thing. We were joking about it going to the break, but seriously, Jimmy Garoppolo looks like he looks. He has already been in a relationship with a porn star, and he's about to go live in Vegas? Vegas.
You say the porn star thing, like, is that a positive or a negative? I know it depends on how you look at things, but porn star, I mean,
I'm just
make sure you strap the Jimmy hat up extra tight.
I'm telling you,
Jimmy.
I'm telling you, it's a fact to consider. That's what I'm telling you.
But what does that mean? Like,
it tells me a little bit about it does tell me about what sort of it tells me about what sort of attitude he might have around women, what sort of confidence level he might have around women. Because
you better have some confidence there in the porn star. Yeah,
I would think you can't be a timid guy.
No,
in that situation,
you got to be comfortable with everything you got going on.
Then there you go. Then he's also comfortable with the idea of, oh no, I don't care if anybody knows that that's what she does. I mean, that's I'm in the relationship or whatever. So I would in a city like that never, ever, ever, ever stops or sleeps or quits or anything, Jimmy Garoppolo, I'll keep saying this, he is one of the few humans that could be cast as Superman and no one would laugh. There aren't many people like that on this planet. He could be cast as Superman tomorrow and we'd all go, yeah, he does kind of look like him. And not many people look like him. And he's going to be in Las Vegas where everybody is. So many different types of people, all kinds of just everything, entertainers and models and all kinds of stuff. If I'm Josh McDaniels, I might just double check that too. Right at the end of the conversation. Hey, what up with the personal life? How are you? You dating anyone, Jimmy? What do we need to think about here? I just may check it out.
Now, was he dating the porn star in New England?
I don't know if that was New England or San.
That was when he got to San Fran.
I think that was after he got to the Niners.
Okay,
I think that was after he got to the Niners.
Yeah, because I don't think Bill and those boys would appreciate that.
All right, let's get to the football question. Is this an upgrade from Carr?
No, it is not.
I don't think so either.
It's not an upgrade from
But
Carr.
This is a guy, I know that he had a team around him. It is a guy who took a team all the way to the Super Bowl.
He did.
Took him all the way there, and some would say should have won the thing. That's the one they were up, in control, and Mahomes went Mahomes.
Yeah.
3rd and 1,000,000 to Tyreek Hill, turned the game around.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Garoppolo would have a ring, would have like a Joe Flacco feel to it, ring.
And I know if he replays in his head that deep shot to Deebo Samuel that should have been a completion, but he overthrew him, and that was such a bad pass. That should have been on the money. That would have won the 49ers or put 49ers in a situation to win the game. But no, it's not an upgrade from Derek Carr. Derek Carr is a solid player in the league. Jimmy Garoppolo is too, but I think Derek Carr has another level to him, being, multiple Pro Bowler that he is going into New Orleans, which I love Derek Carr's presser talking about the fans and him and his wife and his family and stuff, and how everybody's embraced them and stuff like that. I love that. And he's talked to Drew Brees. Like, you got to be like that if you want to play in somewhere like New Orleans. They will embrace you and they will love you because they love their team down there, Who-Dat-ville. But for Jimmy G, it's going to be tough because Devontae Adams, he's good. They just got Josh Jacobs back on the tag. They got talent, but I don't know. It's just not an upgrade. It's not.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what does that look like. I would agree with you. I think that is a bit of a downgrade for them. So Jimmy Garoppolo ends up in Vegas from San Francisco. Here's another guy moving. This is moving to San Francisco. Eagles defensive tackle Javon Hargrave reaches a deal 4 years with San Francisco. So Cowboys fans, he goes from one team you deal with in division to another one of those teams that obviously is a rival of the Cowboys.
Hargrave was good this year.
He really was.
He was a part of that really good defensive line that had 70-plus sacks for the Eagles. I think he was around double digits himself. That's a huge blow for them.
Couple other quick stories. Yeah, that's good. I'm for anything leaving Philly right now. Anything. Any little piece of that team getting chipped away at, I'm good as a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, they had one of the best pass rushers in NFL history. and they got rid of one of their pieces. I'd be happy too if I was a Cowboys fan.
Here's another one to keep in mind. Jawan Taylor, who was with Jacksonville, he's agreed to a 4-year deal, including 60 guaranteed. Nice work, big man, with the Chiefs. So the thought is they're going to lose Orlando Brown. It's not official yet. He's an unrestricted free agent. But if they do, the thought maybe is Jawan Taylor fills in. Taylor is only 25 years old, considered one of the most consistent offensive linemen in Jacksonville. So keep that in mind for Kansas City. The other interesting one, Zay, we haven't talked about yet. How about a 2-year deal for Mike White to back up Tua in Miami?
Interesting.
So this is obviously right after you hear the Jalen Ramsey story. He ends up in Miami over the weekend. 2-year deal worth up to $16 million.
I mean, he knows that he's probably going to have a good chance of playing with Tua and how injury prone he was this past year. I mean, the concussion thing, that was always going to be a cloud over Tua's head every time he steps on the field. So they need a backup quarterback that can win you some games. And we saw with the Jets this season, Mike White, he was their best quarterback. You could ask Garrett Wilson and anybody on that offense. When Mike White was in the game, that's when their offense looked the best. Now, that's not saying much due to what we saw with Joe Flacco and Zach Wilson. But Mike White, when he was in there, he did pretty well. That's $16 million. I think that's a good get as a backup for the Dolphins.
So way back in the day, there was a quarterback named his name was Chris Miller who ended up having to stop because of concussions. I just hope that's not where we're going with Tua.
I know, man.
It gets scary, especially now with everything that we know. In the Chris Miller days, they didn't know near as much or weren't admitting to near as much. Now we know a whole lot. So you hope Tua's going to be all right, but yeah, so it's Mike White. If he is unable to go, Mike White going from the Jets to the Dolphins. Also, there's a report out there. Adam Schefter is still saying things are kind of working towards the Jets getting Aaron Rodgers. He's saying they're cautiously optimistic about Rodgers, but Schefter will not. He reiterates that nothing has happened yet. But that is looking more and more like where we would go. If he doesn't end up with the Jets and decides to retire, then a lot of things will reset themselves, especially now that Garoppolo's found somewhere. I don't know if the Jets were looking at Garoppolo, but he's just one of those names out there. So Rodgers to the Jets, still a possibility. And as we talked about earlier, apparently the Bucs are looking at Baker Mayfield.
Let's go.
So that's got you covered on NFL News today.
Yo, Baker's trying to have a Geno Smith type season.
He
Every backup quarterback in the league that has starter aspirations should look at Geno Smith's situation and say, you know what? I might have a chance. I might be able to have my career resurrected in the right system under the right coach / offensive coordinator. Now, not everybody's a Hall of Fame caliber coach like Pete Carroll, but maybe somebody like Baker could go to a situation and have that Geno Smith year and get to a Pro Bowl and get some big-time money when they're due it.
Still Byron Leftwich calling those plays in Tampa? Is that still who it is? Because that would be
like they got rid of him, but maybe not.
Because if it is, whoever that it would be, that's your opportunity to prove that whatever it was with Brady wasn't just Brady.
Right.
You don't want to take it. I mean, you don't take credit away from him. He's Tom Brady, but still, you want to prove that you can, call plays as well. Baker had the game. I still can't. He beat somebody really good last year, quarterbacking for the Rams that night.
It was like a comeback,
a weird Thursday nighter or a Sunday nighter or something, and he beat somebody pretty good.
The Packers?
Was it? I can't remember who he beat, but everybody remembers the game. I just can't remember the opponent who they took out. But that is what he's hoping can be the kind of that next step. So a lot of stuff going on in the NFL. Wednesday is when the NFL season officially begins. So no matter how much tournament talk there is out there, the NFL is going to still find some space in our discussions. Also, if you just tuned in, it's official. Chris Beard is going to be the new coach at Ole Miss. That did happen over the weekend, and he will be the new guy in Oxford. He's already got a statement out there thanking the fans and looking forward to it. And yes, typing the words hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy.
Which is going to probably take some time for Chris Beard to really get used to. But he is the new coach at Ole Miss. I'm sure I'm going to get an email in the next day or so from Ole Miss girl telling me what she thinks about Lane coaching the football team and now Chris Beard coaching
the basketball team. Interesting. Up next, why today matters on this March 13th. We got a couple big birthdays to hit. A former Longhorn with a birthday today, and a legend we talked about last week would have had a huge milestone birthday over the weekend. We will get to all of that, plus why you may want to take a nap today, and the veterans that we really need to thank, in addition to all the other veterans we need to thank. A special group of veterans get some love today. Coming up on the Horn. Checking out a little Underdog Fantasy right here on my phone. It is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and they've already got pick'em game stuff ready for the play-in games this week. I'm seeing the Pitt Mississippi State game right there. Jamarius Burton, 4.5 rebounds, higher or lower, 13.5 points, higher or lower. If you like one of those, you can make that a part of your next Pick'em game. March Madness is here. College basketball pick'em, the fastest way to get into the action. Pick whether your favorite player will have a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for your chance to win big with the March Madness games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build a pick'em entry. You can also make those rivals picks, pitting 2 players against each other. Sign up today with the promo code HORN and get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with my promo code HORN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. It's the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. Get a pick'em game going with March Madness today at Underdog Fantasy.
Chad and Zay.
Wow. It's a nice song for a Monday. Getting the week started. Just straight up, I hate you. All right, we're not messing around. I don't hear any irony in this. Zay, is this just a straight up I hate you song?
Why do you gotta do all the drama in my life? Day after day, I wanna ride for you. Yo, this is a Texas classic.
All right. Who is it?
Zero. I hate you. Now, this is obviously the clean version, so he really says, I hate you, B.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I hate you, B.
I see. I see. So it's a true piece of artwork. We just can't hear it all right now.
Right.
We can't hear it all. That's fair. All right. So Zero. You say from the state of Texas?
Yeah, H-Town.
Okay. Another H-Town product. Zero.
See, Jeff Howe texting me right now talking about good jam, then I know I'll just put y'all on one.
There you go.
I just gave y'all a gem.
There it is.
Thank you, Jeff. This is a classic. He knows.
Oh, yeah. Jeff Howe's definitely one of our music snobs around here.
Oh, I love Jeff.
He loves him some music.
Great hip-hop taste.
So Zero, you said Kano was the last one?
Yeah, Kano.
Kano, T-Rex, Aerosmith, Billy Squier have all been a part of it today. Also, the Shawty Low beat earlier in the hour. I get it right there?
Yeah. Shawty Low.
By the way, for whoever it was that texted the text line earlier about the purple cassette, how dare you? Can't people just have a mistake? No. Can't just have a mistake. No, got to have promos to bring it back. Got to have reminders on the text line to bring it back. Fine, whatever. All right. And as we mentioned earlier in the show, we will move our musical discussion till after the tournament. So this Thursday at 2, we're going to have Brandon Lang on from BrandonLang.com, give you some thoughts on what he thinks about the tournament. He loves college basketball. And if you like to throw any scratch down, he'll give you some ideas there.
Somebody on the Specs text line said, is this what Chris Beard plays to get him through?
Plays the I hate you. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Maybe.
That is hilariously dark.
Yeah, you want to talk about some regrets. Chris Beard unpacking things in Oxford maybe today with trying to figure out how everything happened. It is a weird ride to consider before we get into why today matters. Like, I was going through that kind of over the weekend. Texas goes into the Big 12 tournament. They end up with a nice high seed, not the absolute number one seed, but a nice high seed. They go beat Kansas like a drum in Kansas City, and walking off the floor, the fan base and the administration don't know if the head coach is their guy. If I told you that, just that, like months ago, you were like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? They know Chris Beard is, no, it's not him.
Yeah, blame Shaka Smart for that.
To just run through all those things that we have. And, yeah, then you put in the Shaka Smart element that his team looks that good. They're a number 2 seed. The fact that Texas could end up playing A&M in the second round, who got screwed by the committee, and Texas kind of did too. But the Aggies got screwed by the committee because they didn't get enough respect for how they'd been playing. Houston's a number 1 seed trying to get to Houston for the Final Four, which Texas could end up being in the way of. There's just a whole lot of weird ingredients right now around the Longhorns as they get ready for this tournament. But the best ingredient, Zay, is how they are playing. There's a lot of energy to this team. That smile we talked about the other day, that laughter we talked about the other day, it's there. Great energy. And how about the hug between Rodney Terry and Chris Ogden after the game?
Beautiful.
They happened to catch that. The cameras caught it. That had to be that one way or the other. Somebody had to get a little breath taken out of their lungs on that one. I think if Chris Ogden hugged me that hard, I might have to go to the hospital.
I know. He's still a strong dude. Chris Ogden.
Might have cracked a rib.
Yeah, you remember his playing days. He's still a strong dude. But, yeah, they love Coach Terry, from the coaching staff to the players. And I think Shaka Smart not winning a tournament game during his tenure at Texas, that doesn't play to Coach Terry's favor at all.
Right.
Chris Beard last year not making it to the second weekend, that doesn't play into his favor at all. So you want to see that. You want to see them make it past the second weekend, because even though winning the Big 12 tournament is fun and all, it don't mean nothing at the end of the day.
Yeah, and deep down, when you're Texas, you don't want to. When you're Texas, you don't want to have a 2 that became a 1. You want to have hired the 1.
Yeah.
And they thought they did. And this is a guy that he brought in as a 2, as an assistant, as a badass assistant, but it just didn't play out the way anybody would have thought. But now, in resetting the calibrations on everything, will the Longhorns ultimately realize it's right there? Dick Vitale's going to say to hire Rodney Terry, but I'm not going to put a whole lot of weight in that. I assume Dick Vitale would say that. The question is, does Chris Del Conte say that in a couple weeks?
Yeah.
That's going to be big. So Texas getting ready for the tournament. We talked about that matchup a little bit. We'll get into more of that. Zay's already watching some Colgate tape this week. Texas and Colgate, Thursday evening, 6:25 on the pregame. And again, that extended pregame at 5:30 will get you Longhorn Game Day, brought to you by Bud Light, the basketball version, from 5:30 to 6, then get you to the network pregame at 6. All right, let's get into why today matters. Today is March 13th, everybody.
Tristan Thompson.
Is he still in Cleveland?
No, he ain't even in the league.
He's out?
He's on ESPN. That's where he is.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's
Tristan Thompson.
my mistake. Tristan Thompson out or not?
No.
Okay.
No, he messed that up with Chloe. I think after the 5th time of cheating,
laying
I
low.
think she kind of had enough. But when you're the baby daddy to a Kardashian, you made it, in my opinion. You've done well for yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe.
Yo, coming from the same guy that's trying to give Jimmy Garoppolo props for being with a porn star, and you're not trying to give Tristan Thompson any props for being with the Kardashians?
Because I think Tristan might have more to go through in a day. I think he might have more anguish. I just know that Jimmy might have dated the porn star. I don't think he had a child with the porn star.
No.
I don't know if there's a connection with the porn star. Tristan's got to get up on certain days and actively engage with Kardashians.
But Christian, in a way, beat the curse. Like that 2016 ring with LeBron and them, he was
okay.
with Chloe during that time.
That's true. The Kardashian curse
Yeah,
got broken.
he broke it.
Well done, Tristan.
So he's a legend, in my opinion. And only a Texas alum could do something of that magnitude.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's good.
People always want to kill Tristan Thompson. Not around here. Not from me.
I like that. That's good Longhorn pride.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not Longhorn pride I hear often, but we need more of that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And Chloe, underrated.
Ooh.
Chloe's underrated.
Think
Everybody loves Kim, obviously. Everybody, Kendall Jenner, even Kylie is a billionaire and stuff. Chloe, even though the weight might fluctuate, still a baddie. Still a baddie. I love Chloe. Tall, too. You know them kids going to have good genes.
You're just trying to get a kid down on the block, aren't you? You're trying to get a kid down on the block with a little
Chloe like
spinning hook.
6'4".
Little spinning hook shot.
Chloe like 6'4". Tristan Thompson around 6'10". Oh, yeah. On that LeVar Ball type stuff, they going to have some good genes.
I like the positivity today.
Absolutely.
I really like that. All right, so let's see if this gets positivity. Today's the 25th birthday of Jack Harlow. What is he to you? Legit, respected, talented.
I don't jam Jack Harlow. I know he's talented.
Okay.
You know, he's the new big white rapper. There's always one that's just very popular. Like Macklemore had his run. Remember that? Eminem has had his run. Now, I wouldn't put Macklemore, Jack Harlow in Eminem's category at all.
Okay.
But if you could understand your audience while also crossing over in the rap like Jack Harlow has and been successful doing, then you could have a really good career like Jack Harlow has. Now, he's in the new White Man Can't Jump remake. Ask me that question after I see that movie when I think about Jack Harlow, because I've seen him in that commercial with Kawhi where he's shooting a little bit, but yo, Woody could hoop. Him and Wesley Snipes, those boys were hooping. And I know Woody couldn't hear Jimmy, but Woody could hoop. Woody could hoop. Okay. I'm telling you.
Fair enough.
So if a Jack Harlow has a little bit of Woody in him, then maybe we'll see.
All right. Also, real quick birthday shout out to a legend. Since we were talking about her the other day, Zay, and when we were discussing the WWE and Mark Henry. Yesterday, would have been Mae Young's 100th birthday.
Oh, Mae Young.
She would have been 100 yesterday. She died back in 2014. Let me assure you all of one thing. If Mae Young had lived to be 100, she would have gone on a wrestling show somewhere, indie show, WWE, and she would have gotten powerbombed through a table. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. She would have taken some crazy Mae Young bump at 100 if she could.
She was so tough.
She was amazing. She died in 2014. That tells you, do the math about how old she was at the end of her life, and then go back, I don't know, 10,
92.
15 years, whatever it was. She was a pretty, definitely an older woman when she was doing some of that stuff with Mark Henry. But yeah, she and Moolah used to show up to the ring and just throw themselves around. It was crazy.
Wow.
Crazy stuff.
Did she ever break anything, or?
I'm sure she did. Yes,
And
especially
just
at
kept getting back in the ring?
Yeah, especially at that age. I've never heard exactly what she did that night when Bubba Ray put her through that table, because that one, that was one of the worst ones we saw her take.
Yeah, that was brutal.
And you're like, dude, what are we? And they put the neck brace on and everything.
Yeah, that was just a prop.
But then you're like, it's Mae Young, right? So it's Mae Young. She's been doing this so long. You're just assuming like, well, I assume it's a work, and she's just selling because she's Mae Young. But I'm sure she got hurt through that. I mean, a body at that age. I get worried about them when they're in their 50s, getting in there, taking bumps, jumping off turnbuckles and stuff. She's going through tables at, like, what was that, 75?
Like it was nothing.
Like it was nothing. Happy birthday to the late, great Mae Young yesterday. Also, for you sports freaks, Eddie Sutton would have had a birthday yesterday. Also, Dale Murphy, one of my favorite baseball players as a kid. He was 67, turned 67 yesterday. Darryl Strawberry turned 61 yesterday. Hope he is doing well. And two-time Super Bowl champion Mecole Hardman is only 25 years old. Not a bad career so far.
Not at all.
Come out of Georgia, win 2 Super Bowls already at age 25. He missed the Georgia run in terms of championships, but he does have 2 wearing a red helmet anyway.
Yeah, and he got one. He didn't even play this last Super Bowl. He was
true.
on the bench and got it.
It's true. Good point. Wonder what do you do with that ring? You give it to somebody?
Well, he was a big part of the team. He was a big part of their success.
You still display that, right?
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, just throwing him the ball throughout the season. He deserves it.
Man, crazy stuff. Tyreek Hill ends up in Miami, and his former team gets a Super Bowl, another Super Bowl. So now that's 2 for Mecole Hardman. That is why today matters to us on this March 13th. Also, I mentioned it's National Napping Day, so get yourself a good nap. And shout out to our K9 vets. We always love to shout out the veterans. Obviously, a shout out to all you human veterans out there, but it's also K9 Vets Day. They have a lot of incredible animals doing great work for the military, and then once they are done, they get back out into life and then back out into kind of civilian life and do service dog stuff and all that. So shout out to those K9 vets as well, and all of our veterans today on this March 13th. All right, coming up, stems and seeds before we get out of here, including the Longhorns in that final AP poll and where Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be playing football. NFL free agency really cranks up this week. This is The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Always an interesting way to go. When you start just rattling off other artists, you got to do it well. You got to do it in a clever way. You approve of this song, Zay?
Hell yeah.
Should I know it?
Kinda. I wouldn't
Okay.
be surprised if you don't. I'd be a little surprised if you did.
Oh, interesting. Individual here?
Multiple artists. The
Multiple.
singer that you heard is very famous. This guy is very famous.
I do not know, but I have seen him recently, so I'm going to say Chance the Rapper.
No. Close.
Okay.
Chicago rappers like Chance,
All right.
Kanye West,
Oh, okay.
Twista, and the singer right here, Jamie Foxx.
Ah. Okay.
Slow jams.
See, Jamie's one. I always feel weird when I miss Jamie Foxx because I feel like I should know that voice, but I don't.
It's tough
I never pick him out.
because he could do so many impressions
Yeah.
and different voices. I think he uses that when he makes songs. So,
Yeah, that's one talented dude.
oh, he's so talented.
That might be. He's one of those guys that really is kind of in his own category. I can't think of anybody quite like Jamie Foxx.
Yo, his sitcom, The Jamie Foxx Show, it's no Martin, but it's pretty damn close, in my opinion.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't touch Martin. Nothing touches Martin. I think Martin's like Black Seinfeld. But
Okay.
Jamie Foxx Show is pretty hilarious. It's one of those shows if you're like cleaning or something, you just throw on in the background and it could be funny and you could kind of picture what's going on. But yeah, I loved his sitcom show. Lasted 5 seasons in like
Wow.
the late 90s.
Okay.
It was good.
All right, so shout out to Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx, Twista, Kanye on that one. Zero, Kano, T-Rex, Aerosmith, Billy Squire, and the Shouty Low beat to start this hour. I hope I get that one right. Chad and Zay with you on this Monday. There's a lot going on, obviously, in the world of basketball. Let's give the Longhorns their final love in terms of ranking because we know as of now, ranking doesn't matter. Survive and advance matters. But here's comes some stems and seeds.
No stress, no seeds, no stems, no sticks.
It's brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. So check this out, Longhorn fans. I wasn't going to mention it, but there is a history to this and kind of a little perspective. Longhorns finished 5th in the final AP poll. That is tied for the best finish ever in the AP poll. You know when they did it last? Yep, 0203. They finished 5th in the final AP poll. This is only the 14th time the Longhorns have finished in that final poll. So trying to obviously build up that long-term basketball history here, Zay. But that was a little surprising. So if you believe in, oughta bees and shoulda bees and all that. Now, they were a 1 seed, I believe, in 03
Yes.
when they went to the Final Four. So this is not a 1 seed in the tournament, but it is a number 5 overall in that AP poll. So congrats to Texas there. Bama, Houston, Purdue, Kansas were your top 4. Man, Bama really did make a nice run at the end of the year and took hold of that number 1 overall seed. It's impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. Taking care of the SEC tournament, winning the SEC regular season with everything that they've been through. You gotta, tip your hat to Nate Oates. Whatever you say about him, the guy's been coaching his ass off. And Brandon Miller, say whatever you want about him also, he's gonna be the first collegiate player taken in this year's draft. So if they keep riding his back the way they've been doing all year long, I could see them hoisting the national championship trophy in Houston. Absolutely.
And if you believe that championship runs are about having an edge and creating little chips on your shoulder along the way, I don't know if anybody's got more than Bama. And we mentioned earlier, they start in Birmingham, and then they'd go to Louisville after that. I mean, they're in their neck of the woods because they're the number 1 overall seed. I never thought I would live to see that. Bama gets to make choices like that in football, sure. But in basketball, they got to be the ones to make that choice. And say, oh, yeah, first and second rounds where? Oh,
Yeah.
Birmingham. Let's do it.
Easy.
That's incredible, man. That is a dangerous group. Never thought we'd have to worry about an Alabama team this seriously in basketball, but you got them, you got Houston, Kansas, and Purdue as 1 seeds. Purdue, they almost slipped yesterday, right, against Penn State?
Yeah, Penn State came all the way back, down double digits.
They barely got by. What do you make of Purdue? How dangerous are they?
Very dangerous. I mean,
You got the big man, right?
yeah, Zach Edey. People are comparing him to Yao Ming at 7'4". Just throw it down low to him, man. He goes so quick. It's so hard to double team him. I know your first reaction for somebody that big and somebody just that physical is to double team him once he catches the ball, but he's so tall. Once he catches it, he gets right into his moves right away. And plus, they have so many shooters around him, it's hard to help off. So, yeah, I think Purdue, they're a scary team, and Zach Edey, it starts with him.
So we'll see also if the Raiders are scary with Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo going to the Raiders. Off the weekend, Jalen Ramsey to Miami. We didn't mention this one, but Baltimore released Calais Campbell. Is there any of that left? Any Calais Campbell still left on the bone? Because I love that guy.
Just a little bit, but what he doesn't have on the field, I think he can make up in the locker room.
Man, he might be right in that sweet spot where Jerry would pay attention.
Yeah.
Come on, Cowboys. Pay attention to something like that. And also Washington